Hey everyone, Lashaloo and Jumps here again for a very different kind of stream. It's considering Jump is on break this week because of their Golden Week. We decided to do a little bit of a filler stream.
Yep. And so there's no series in Shonen Jump to talk about except for our carryover Ayakashi Triangle because it got moved to Jump Plus. So we'll be covering that chapter, but then after that we'll be talking about some other manga we've been reading, as well as the recent Sonic movie.
Yeah,
Oh, and hey,
and
Aaron Arbor, I'm glad you're
yeah,
still here.
yeah, and I've sent the link out to a lot of people like Mamsi, who's like a regular on Shonen OG's videos. Since he's a massive Sonic fan, he hopefully will be here when we get to talking about the Sonic movies, and of course Hayes as well. So yeah, pretty much the regulars here to talk about this. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this like filler stream. But yeah, as Pyjan said, Ayakashi Triangle, we're just gonna do that chapter first, get it out of the way, because it's the only chapter this week we can actually talk about.
Yeah, because we don't read too many other series together outside of Jump. So yeah, we have Ayakashi, and also they're really. I don't know if I'll do timestamps for this one or not, guys. Just so you know, because it's going to be kind of all over the place, so I won't really know where the best place to put timestamps will be. But if you, for those who want to still watch the stream, we appreciate your time.
Yeah, you could talk about the newcomer to Manga Plus, Oshinoko. Yeah, you see, I haven't read that yet. I've heard really good things about it though, and it is on the list.
I haven't read that either. I saw it just came out, but I haven't started it yet. I actually was starting some other series, so didn't have a chance to try that one.
Yeah.
But during our manga section, I was considering for our viewers to bring up any series they would like us to either look into or recommend, and kind of try to sell us on stuff because we already have a lot of stuff to read. But I'm always interested to see what else is
Yeah,
out there.
yeah, like Oshinoko, like it seems like a series that would be right up my alley. So yeah, if any of you guys want to give suggestions, how could you, Luke? I recommended you this manga since to it. I'm sorry, Ann Arbor. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I have the chapter pulled up. So whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I have the chapter pulled up. So yeah, feelings of a young heart. Aww,
Yeah,
bless.
which for a very wholesome title, it's a very not so wholesome color
Yeah,
palette, but very nice looking one all the
yeah,
same.
a very nice looking one of Shadow May
Bikini.
in a bikini. Yeah, yeah. Gotta try and make it as PG as possible for you for YouTube. But yeah, so as you guys know, from now on, Ayakashi Triangle will be getting all the color pages.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, hopefully it doesn't overwork the manga. But
Yeah.
they do get regular breaks now, so that'll help.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, which will help a lot. So anyway, getting into the chapter proper, we have Chirugane basically recapping everything that's going on with Suzu, which for those guys who want just a brief rundown of what's going on with Suzu, think Kaguya from Kaguya-sama's Love is War, when she has her own personalities that she battles with on occasion in her mind. That's basically Suzu. She's got three personalities, including her original self, which is obviously Suzu, another one, which is Shadow May, and the other is older Suzu's subconscious that for some reason is in the form of her younger self.
Yeah, which kind of is explored a little more in this chapter. But this is another triangle of Ayakashi Triangle.
Yeah, like how many triangles can we have in this series?
I guess we'll never know till it's over. Anyway, so we got a recap, and then Suzu's all like, "What? What did I do? Did I do something bad?" And then Shirogane made a good response. Do you ever do anything good?
Yeah, that
Very
is a
fair
good.
response.
Yeah, I just love this about Suzu. Like, because when was the last time that you actually saw like the female lead of the series being the one that's the more perverted one, for lack of a better word.
No, that's a good word, and yeah, that's very true. And Arbor, as someone who's never read Kashi, I am deeply confused. Yeah, this segment will be a little confusing for you, my friend,
Yeah,
but just kind of bear with us.
bear with us. We'll try and get through this as quickly as possible. So just bear
We have
with
a lot
us.
of things we want to talk about in this stream.
Yeah. So
So then we get more flashbacks as we see uh, Mini Suzu basically say, "I don't like being a part of you. I'm running away." And then she apologizes to Matsuri for some reason right before she vanishes. And Matsuri just thinking on this, thinking, okay, I should probably be the one to go look for her.
yeah, yeah, and Suzu's like, "Oh, do you know where she'll be?" And Matsuri's, yeah, probably. Um, uh, um, as we have a flashback to, you see, this is what confuses me about this chapter, is like this flashback when I was reading it, when I was first reading it, it appeared at the end of the chapter, so I was a bit confused by this when I saw it popping up here in the middle of the chapter.
Wait, which flashback? The one we just read?
But then I met a boy and he looked at me with sparkling eyes.
Oh, at the very end.
Yeah,
Wait, that's the last page. What do you mean?
No. When I was first reading it, it appeared on the last page of the chapter. So I was a bit confused. Like, wait,
it is the last page of the chapter, isn't it?
wait, is it? Let me go. Let me
Yeah,
go.
that's page 21. Yeah, I'm on page 7.
Yeah. No. See, this is never mind. Forget what I was just saying. Just forget what I was just saying. Then I feel no. The flashback appeared to me. No. Oh wait. Oh yeah. This. Oh yeah. This is what's confusing me. I've just realised. Like the flashback is in the middle of the chapter where I'm reading it on the Manga Plus website.
Wait, really? I'm on the app.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me check because this is kind of interesting. So the Manga Plus.
Yeah.
I'll
Go on
just
the
quickly pull
website.
it.
That's where I'm getting at, because I was actually looking, because it goes 6 and then 21. So they swapped.
Oh man, did they mess up that bad? Let's see.
I think they did.
Let's see. Pulling up this. Oh wait, why are all these chapters? I could go chapter 90. Oh, it's a vertical. Okay, yeah. Oh wait, no. I'm on the website right now, and I'm not seeing that as the 7th page.
Oh, I don't know what's going on with, but I don't know
You're
what's
on
going on.
manga plus shueisha.co.jp, right?
Yeah. Let me.
That's where I'm at.
Let me reset.
Maybe refresh the page or something.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. There we go. So. Okay, it's gone now. I have no idea what all that was about. So sorry for that
probably
little
a technical error. Okay, that would have been kind of funny if they messed up that badly.
Yeah,
but it was like that when you were reading the chapter earlier in the day.
No, it was all right. It was that panel appeared right at the end. It was just here that it appeared, and I didn't realize what was going on. So
yeah, I guess. Yeah, it just didn't load up correctly. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, back on page 7, Matsuri finds Chibi Suzu in the place where Suzu and Matsuri first met, the triangular torii in the grove of the village shrine. And it's the same area that we've seen inside Suzu's soul, basically in her soul room. And we learned that the reason is because this place is special to Suzu because of this is where they first met, and so that's why it's inside her inner world as well.
Yeah, which is a nice little connection there, showing that Suzu is a little bit of a nostalgia, quite literally at times. But yeah, Matsuri explains like, it takes me back. Somehow we were always playing over at the shrine, and Suzu, it kind of holds a special. Chibi Suzu says it kind of holds a special place in Suzu's heart, and there's obviously a near identical one in her area, in her world. But the main question that Chibi Suzu has is that why is Matsuri here? And she wants to be left alone, but Matsuri's like, no, I feel like I should be here. But this is when Mini Suzu gives the explanation of like, okay, she hasn't run away from Suzu, she's just getting her head cooled down, and then maybe she'll go back. But she goes on to say that Suzu is too much. It's too much for her because Suzu is easily swayed by her desires. So basically, the subconscious of the main female lead, who is a perv, is like, okay, I'm out of here.
Yep. And it's kind of funny, but also semi serious. So it kind of like that. I guess one thing though is I was hoping, especially as we saw Shadow May in the color page. Oh, hey, Blazing Boy. We're doing talking Ayakashi Triangle right now. It's like the one series that from Jump that's still around because it's not in Jump anymore. Anyway, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, I thought since Shadow May was on the cover, and based on the way the last chapter ended, I thought Shadow May would try to win over the Mini Suzu, but it looks like that's not what's going to happen, which is a little disappointing for me. But I still don't mind what the chapter did.
Yeah,
I just want to throw that in there.
yeah, I feel like they did this first, and they might do the whole manipulation later.
It could, but based on how things play out, I'm not sure if it will. It could though. Like I'm still holding. I'm not completely giving up hope, but it doesn't look like that's what they intend. Anyway,
Maybe.
so then Mini Suzu says, she may even forget the most important goal of bringing you back to yourself. And then Matsuri takes a seat and says, Suzu was this small back then, you used to look so big to me. I want to know why there's another Suzu inside of her, one from back then. So this is actually like a really good question because we know why Shadow May exists
Yeah.
as like an Omikage effectively that survived, and of course Suzu is just a reincarnation. But then why is this third fragment even exist? That's kind of what we get to learn, and I'm pretty interested in that. I wouldn't think we'd actually ever get this.
Oh, definitely, definitely. This chapter was really good character growth for not just Matsuri as a person, but also Suzu as the Ayakashi King, if you will.
Mm-hmm. We get a lot of Suzu backstory. That's what we're going into. Because then Mini Suzu's like, Matsuri, you don't have to know. But Matsuri wants to know because I like how he says, because I have a crush on Suzu. And I'm like, you guys are practically dating. It feels weird
Yes.
for you to be like, I have a crush on this girl that I'm with. It's like, you guys are just basically dating. Don't be weird about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I found it a little weird the way he said that just because when a character says that, oh, I have a crush on someone, it seems very childish, as in I'm still in the process of in figuring out how to explain these feelings, rather than, oh, well, me and Susan are going to go date and probably go further after that, so I should probably know more about her. That would have made more sense to me.
Yeah, that would have made more sense. But of course, Matsuri is. I feel like it was deliberately awkward because Matsuri is quite an awkward person when it comes to the feelings he slash she has for Suzu.
You're right. It's very in character. It's just kind of annoying to me.
Okay.
Blazing Boy, I want you to know I'm not ignoring your comments. I just want you to know that we are going to be talking about the Sonic stuff either at the end of the stream or near the end, unless we have more stuff to talk about after the movie. But yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about a lot of Sonic stuff.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, I'm a huge Sonic fan.
Yeah, and I could consider myself a Sonic fan, but I wouldn't say I'm like massively a Sonic fan. I have played several of the games, but it would be but for me it was always Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and Digimon.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, because I would consider myself a Digimon fan, but like more casual. Because when I look into the Digimon fandom, like the real fans know a lot more than I know about Digimon, but I still love Digimon.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like, you can see my profile picture.
Your profile picture is War Greymon.
Yep, my favorite. So I understand what you mean by that.
Yeah.
But I definitely could. We'll talk about Sonic near the end, Blazing Boy. But so hang out with us if you'd like, because I'm sure you'll want to stick around for the manga section because we'll talk about some Jump Plus series as well.
Yeah. So anyway, moving back onto the chapter, we have Mini Susan saying like, "Okay, since I want you to know," and we get her putting her head towards Matsuri as Matsuri enters Suzu's memories of Suzu in the shower, chanting she's name, and Matsui's like, "Oh, why did you show me this?" And Minisu's like, "Oh, my bad. That's from her shower yesterday." It's like, no, you were deliberately doing that, Minisuzu.
Well, at the very least, this is definitely the mangaka just being like, "Ah, man, I'm so happy I'm no longer in Weekly Jump. I can just implicitly say my characters are having enjoyable showers,"
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is something like they would have a harder time doing in the actual magazine.
yeah.
So
But then,
yeah, it's actually kind of fun. I'm pretty sure the author's just having the time of his life
oh
right now.
yeah, he's probably having the time of his life right now.
Mhm.
But in all fairness, he does cut to something actually important, which is actually the birth of Suzu herself.
Yeah, we get to see Suzu's parents for the first time in like a while.
Yeah,
Um,
so yeah, so I like the fact that they that is it just me, or does the father look similar to someone? I don't.
yeah, he looks like Suzu's brother.
No. Obviously that makes sense, but no, not the brother. Like someone else. I can't. Does he look like? Uh, I'm just thinking like he looks a bit like Garaku, a little bit, but maybe that's just me.
The hairstyle, maybe, but I don't know. That kind of feels more just like the manga.
The hairstyle and
Or
the
sorry.
glasses are just
No.
like off putting to me a bit.
Yeah, no, I can see it.
Yeah.
But
And
anyway, so we see Suzu's.
also,
Oh,
sorry, I've just got to make this joke. He's obviously
yeah,
a
go
fan
ahead.
of he's obviously a fan of PPPPP
The
because
piano. Yeah, I was wondering if to point that out or not.
you knew I was going to probably point that out.
It could be intentional though, because we do know the mangaka does like putting references from other series in, like Robico. They did one time.
Yeah. So
And just to address some of the comments we have, Ann Arbor Sonic Color on the DS is pretty good. I played the Wii version, but the color version is pretty cool because basically just uses the Rush formula on mobile, and looks like everyone here is a Digimon fan.
yeah,
So
everyone here is a Digimon fan. Did you see? Did you hear? Did you know what's No, I can't. No, we must forget about the rap.
I mean, I guess minor Digimon news is that I recently finished the reboot anime, and I want to finish that first before watching Ghost Game. So I'll be starting Ghost Game at some point in the future.
Okay. I guess after we've done this, we you can give my because I'm interested in hear more people's thoughts on the Digimon reboot because a lot of people are kind of like mixed on it a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair idea. I think some of my thoughts on the Digimon franchise are a little different than most of the fan bases, but I will say I also have mixed feelings about the reboot.
Yeah,
But sure, we can potentially talk about that.
yeah, and I have mixed feelings on the new movie that's coming out because it seems to be set after the last Digimon movie where it was basically the end of that
Wait,
continuity.
it is?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. Let me. I'll
Oh, I
send
didn't
you.
know.
Yeah, I'll
I thought
send
it
you the.
was.
No,
Yeah, but
I'll send you the link in a bit after we wrap up the chapter.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought it was like either a new continuity or something. But yeah, man, that would be not the smartest move. Because man, that last movie just like ended just in such the best bittersweet way ever. Uh, okay, well that's concerning. Okay, but we'll talk about that later. And talk about Dragon Quest remake. Oh, he's talking about Die, and yeah, I will. I mean, we could talk about that, but I've only watched like 6 episodes of it, my friend. I will get back into it for sure because Dragon Quest is probably one of my favorite like just game franchises as a whole. And I definitely want to watch more. It's just it's one of those animes I lost track of, and I was like, okay, I'll just marathon it at a later time.
Yeah, but anyway,
Although Ann
we
Arbor
got.
is saying there is no new Digimon movie, so I guess we should
I
clarify that
have
too.
I have got it here, Ann Arbor. So I just brought it up. So I'll quickly send it in the post it in the comments. So
Yeah,
there,
go ahead.
there we go. There we go. So and I'll send you the link right now in
Yeah, cool.
Discord. So there
Oh,
we
I got
go.
it. You can keep going with the chapter. I'm just gonna make sure this link works.
Yeah. So anyway, we have Suzu's mother christening her name, and Matsui's like, "Wait, is this Suzu's memory?" And we have her father playing peekaboo with her before he's like, "Oh wait, it's not working," and noticing that Suzu doesn't smile at all. even the doctors don't know why. I'm a little worried. Well, Suzu's daddy, maybe it might be due to the fact that maybe her uncle was killed by a psychotic woman, which lost her ability, which traumatized her for life, and and that is so obscure that I'll have to expect that is basically what happens in one of my books.
Oh, okay. I was like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I just as soon as it said Suzu doesn't smile, so I was like thinking like, has he been reading my books?
Yeah, someday
But
I really should like read your books. That would be fun to talk to
yeah,
you about.
but yeah, Mini Suzu says that yeah, this is not because she doesn't want to smile, but she explains how Ayakashi mediums cross through time with the power to control lives and memories of transmigration. So I guess like all like the past lives of Suzu can sort of like take over her body at any point.
Yeah, so it. I guess what's interesting here is that normally these reincarnations don't have like their memories intact because that's usually how like reincarnation in mythology typically works. Like you don't remember your past lives, but memories will slowly come back over time. But in Suzu's case, for some reason, she remembered everything from the start. So it's actually kind of interesting. Weirdly, I feel like they could do a lot with such a character, a child with like thousands of years worth of memories, and like most of them not good and traumatizing.
Yeah, it's something that I'll bring it up in a second because as she said that Suzu she doesn't clearly remember all her past lives. She forgets everything every time she's reborn and slowly starts remembering as she grows up. And that was how it was until Mei Hatsumi. But when Suzu was born, things changed. She remembered everything from the start, all 12 lives of the past, and to that I was surprised this concept. I'm just gonna reference it briefly here. I'm surprised this concept hasn't been explored more in Doctor Who because of the fact that the Doctor always remembers everything from their past lives.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing with the Doctor is like during the regeneration process, they kind of have like this brief period of madness where everything's all jumbled up for like a little while, and we get like goofy adventures with the Doctor trying to figure themselves out. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, that is an interesting point. But I also think the difference is that Suzu, Suzu is still a human being effectively. I think like in Japanese culture, there's humans just reincarnate, and so in this case, it's more like can the human mind handle like having all 12 past lives like from childhood
I
forward, while
don't.
time lords are just like more equipped to deal with that.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, I guess. I guess they are. I yeah, I don't really remember anything from the classic series that brought up that, but that might just be
I mean, I
because
didn't really watch the classic series, so I
oh
can't tell you much.
I adore the classic series, but
I mean, I think one of these days I'll definitely dig into it, but that's like when I really want to get back into Doctor Who.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think that if you wanted to get back into Doctor Two, I would definitely say try some of the classic series, but um, I would I would definitely look at the ones that are universally regarded as the best.
I mean, yeah, that would make the most sense. Anyway, what's interesting here, the other thing I want to point out, and I wasn't sure if you brought it up. I thought it was you because when I was reading, I was thinking, oh, cool. I think this Luke brought this up. They specify that Suzu has 12 past lives, and one of them we know is Shadow May, obviously, and assuming that these are 12 before Suzu, that means there's like 11 that we haven't met yet, but we might because there's a specific number.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost a bit of connection there. That was on
Oh,
my
okay.
end.
I'll quickly repeat. I think you theorized this before, or maybe I was thinking of Yozakura, but the fact that they specify the number of past lives means we might see some of Suzu's past reincarnations. Like
Yeah,
we're dealing with Nick now, maybe in future arcs we'll deal with the other reincarnations.
yeah. That would be a great way to take the series, and and if the author wanted to expand it a bit more, like make it as long as Two Love Ru and Two Love Ru Darkness combined, because that would be like um a good number of years then, and a good length of chapters. So yeah, we could explore the past lives of Suzu
Yep.
as well, and see what they're all about. And maybe if Chalamet is going to stick around as being like the big bad of the entire series, maybe like I said, she could plan to get her hands on all the past reincarnations, so that she becomes the ultimate Ayakashi King herself through Suzu's
Yes, or
body.
something like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so I think that's pretty exciting. Like, just it's just a small bit of dialogue, but it has a lot of potential.
yeah, but this is I'm just confused here. Is this Suzu talking when she says she's cute?
What? Oh no! I get it. Oh yeah. Actually, because her mouth is moving and the bubble is definitely pointing to her. I thought it was her mom.
No,
Oh
no,
no
it's
no no no. Okay, I got it. Wait, I got it because I remember someone in the comments brought there was a typo. Okay, I can explain.
okay.
If you look on the panel right above, the mom says, "Look, your big sister's here," and then that the mom's holding on to her younger brother, but Sue says she's cute. It's meant to say he's cute, as in
Ah,
her younger brother. Yeah,
right. Okay, so it's just a typo.
yeah. Because someone did
Okay.
bring that up in the comments. I guess I might as well thank them on stream because you're here. Yeah. Okay. This is Juju's guy friend. That's actually how the username says. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you for pointing that out. So yeah, moving on with the flashback, we have Suzu going. My memories of being a human sacrifice are very recent. How could I possibly smile? Oh my god! Don't be saying how could I possibly smile when after reading getting into Eden Zero with Hermit. That
Um,
just that was just like
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yep. And next thing we're going to be talking about, just so you guys know, it's going to be Eden Zero, but
Yeah.
not like full spoilers because Luke only got through like the first couple arcs.
Yeah, I'm up to. I'll give you guys where I'm actually up to. I'm up to them going to Sun Jewel.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you start of Sun Jewel.
Yeah,
And so, honestly, if you saw the anime, you already know more than Luke, so do not spoil anything in the comments.
yeah. No spoilers for anything for anything in Sun Jewel and past it.
Yep. Yeah, and that's definitely an arc you don't want to spoil because, like I was telling you, I think Sun Jewel onward is where Eden Zero like really starts making big steps in
Cool,
terms of its quality.
cool.
So continuing onwards, so Minnie Souza tells us for years, I wondered if I should destroy the humans since my family this time were good people. And that's kind of an interesting thought because obviously she was born with those memories. In many ways, she is basically Shadow May, but as a child. But she has this good family that's raising her. So she's like, is it worth to destroy all of humanity? And
Yeah,
yes, boy, I agree. He is not ready for Sun Jewel. Although I will, I do think our Hermit's arc Digitalis is like one of like the most messed up arcs. Even with that,
yeah.
maybe
I
not.
will. Yeah,
Maybe there's some worse ones, but it's up there.
yeah. I will say. I will say, Digitalis is my favorite arc so far. But
Yes, but
it does.
I told you like you still have a pretty limited selection, so hold off on that for a bit.
Yeah, but it does have a glaring problem that I want to talk about when we get to it, and it's a
Oh yeah,
problem
yeah.
that I have with all of Eden Zero. But yeah, we'll talk
Okay.
about it in a minute. As we wrap up the chapter where we say where we have Mini Suzu saying that she met a boy and he looked at me with sparkling eyes, obviously referred to Matsuri in his in the male form, and that's where the chapter ends. So, yeah, pretty good chapter, all things considered.
Yep, and I next we'll probably continue with this flashback and like learn like why Suzu's like soul kind of split into different parts.
Yeah,
And that will be interesting to learn because apparently Matsuri is a huge reason for it. And that also explains like why Shadow May is like very targeting towards Matsuri and Suzu's like friendship or I guess I shouldn't call it friendship
relationship.
anymore. Relationship, that's a better
Yeah,
word. Yeah, so targeting it just because like it's the huge reason that she's held back these feelings she's had as a child. But I guess also, I guess Mini Suzu in many ways is repressing those memories as well, like those horrible memories
yeah.
to so Suzu can live a happy life, which is kind of a lot when you think about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And yeah, that was pretty much Ayakashi Triangle. Looking forward to finding out more about what's going to happen in this in this flashback. But anyway, I think we can safely move on if because I've got it all here. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. Eden Zero.
Oh, I didn't know you were having banners. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Like I was saying, I wasn't gonna originally make timestamps. I didn't think we were gonna do that,
yeah.
but
I was like,
maybe
I was
I'll.
like, I mean, you don't have to make the timestamps if you don't want to.
I mean, I might as well if you had it. I'll figure out the Ayakashi one later because I didn't have it before. But okay, cool. Okay, keep in mind, guys. I'm gonna try to do timestamps.
Okay,
But
so
not all, maybe not some of them because well we're going to start with talking about some series that Luke and I have both read and one that he wanted to talk about, but then a bunch of series I didn't really tell Luke beforehand because I didn't know we were making banners. um, so those probably either won't have timestamps or I'll just make some quick ones for reference.
okay, all right, that's fine. But yeah, Eden Zero. So first overall impressions that I have on Eden Zero as a series is that I do like it. I think it's a very Luke here with the JPEGs, JPEGs. Come on, it was the best that I could do at Arbor. It was the best that I could do.
No, it's actually like pretty good. Like like our
Yeah,
production value is not high, but it's something.
yeah. It was either this image or the one showcasing the crew of the Eden Zero, where you have Shiki obviously trying to hold Rebecca's personality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, true. You're kind of limited on which ones you can use, considering some of the later ones, of course, have major spoilers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But that one, I was like, should I use that one because it's on YouTube?
I'm like really glad you didn't get spoiled from anything with looking through all that.
I think with this one, I think we'll be all right. Name 5 reasons, sure. After hating the first, okay, 5 reasons why you should start reading Eden Zero. So the first, people will agree will unanimously agree, Ann Arbor, that the beginning of Eden Zero it is a bit generic. It really is a bit generic, but it's like with Doctor Stone, how Doctor Stone doesn't find its footing right away, but when it gets going, it really gets going. And it's the same with Eden Zero. Like once you can get over that initial hurdle, I think you'll like it. And and I will say one of the reasons why is just the character interaction. That is what basically is drawing me. It's just the characters and how they interact off each other. So like you have Shiki, who's a meathead, with a good heart. You have Homaru, who's the violet-haired girl that you can see on screen, the one that has like the Japanese kimono, who's basically a warrior samurai who doesn't know when to shut her mouth, so she'll just say what she's thinking out loud. And then you have Rebecca, who's the main female lead, who is basically a YouTuber who wants to be the greatest YouTuber in the known universe. The, come on, Blazing Boy, I said violet hair. Homer has violet coloured hair. That is clearly violet hair. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, Ganar. But so you have Rebecca, who wants to be the greatest YouTuber or B-Cuber, as to avoid copyright. And she's also a massive nerd because she's a gamer as well. And Happy in this, different from the Happy in Fairy Tale, in that Happy in this can turn into guns. Yeah, she's got an android cat that can turn into guns. So if you like Stark and Lilynette Gingerback from Bleach, you'll get a kick out of their vibe. And of course, everyone's favorite character, Pino, because where is Eden Zero without Pino? A gamer. Women can't be gamers, Luke. No, she is a gamer. She is a gamer. But yeah, Pino is my favorite character. Not gonna do like, Hatsune is blue hair. Is blue. No, I'm not saying Homura has blue hair. She has violet hair, a shade of purple. Um, but yeah, Pino or Pino is a android who releases electromagnetic pulses, and she's and based on her name, you can tell that they're going for a Pinocchio vibe with her. And unlike a certain horror series where that makes zero sense, here she wants to be a real, well, I can't say boy because she's a female, so a real girl who wants to experience what it's like to be a human. So yeah, they are all a bunch of misfits, but they work so well off each other. And there's also Wise, who's the blonde-haired guy down at the bottom there, who's basically Han Solo. Well, it's a different shade of purple, but then you have. But I said, I don't get what you're talking about here. I said Homura. I said Homura, the violet coloured hair chick. That's what I said. But yeah, you have Wise there at the bottom, who I won't spoil what his ordeal is, but basically he's kind of like Han Solo mixed with Senku, if that makes sense. So, and then of course you have Hermit, who's the blue-haired girl in the background there, who has quite possibly the most messed up backstory ever. I will not spoil that, but yeah. So that's all basically a brief rundown of all the major characters in the series, and another reason why you should read Eden Zero and Alba is just because it's a space opera. It's not a space opera. It's a sci-fi fantasy where you go to different worlds, and the different worlds have just such a vast difference from each other. Like you go to a world of machines, a world that's basically stuck 50 years in the past, a literal digital world. So if you like Digimon, they go to the digital world where it's basically this planet which was home to this MMORPG that became self-aware to the point that the whole planet basically came alive and became like a digital world where the NPCs are now real people, but people from the outside world can still go in as players of the video game. And then you also have a planet that has a wretched hive of scum and villainy. Different worlds. That's just like One Piece Island, which are all different. The maker never stops. Well, here's the thing. Ann Arbor. Here's the thing, Ann Arbor. Naruto stole from Naruto and One Piece stole from Dragon Ball. So yeah, everyone steals from everything, Ann Arbor. You can't. But what they do is fast and different. Like, where was the last time in One Piece that you saw literally an island that was a digital space that they could go into an MMO? So yeah, as much as people like to bash on Eden Zero, I will give my honest opinion of that. It is what did One Piece steal? What did One Piece steal from Dragon Ball? A lot of people say that One Piece was inspired by Dragon Ball, but I've not read Dragon Ball, so I'm just paraphrasing here. I don't know if Party John's read it.
I've read Dragon Ball, but I've not read One Piece, so it can't help.
That is my first serious question. It was influenced, but never stole. No, well, Eden Zero is influenced by a lot of series as well, so you can't really say it stole because Eden Zero's taken its own different spin. Okay, when was the last time in One Piece where you saw one island that was literally stuck 50 years in the past? Yeah.
Well,
So I will say, like, and one more thing I'll say before I let Party Jams have a take on here is that unlike some other series which don't have a clear direction for the end of the series, Eden Zero does have like a clear overarching goal that the characters are trying to reach. Wait, question. Was Little Garden I'm just trying to think how to word this. Okay, did Little Garden have 50 years of its time stream basically stolen from it? Let me know. But yeah, so I would say Ann Arbor, just give it another chance, get past the first arc, and I feel like you will enjoy it because the dynamic. I will say the dynamic between Shiki, the main character, and Pino, the android, is one of my favorites that I've seen in a while. It's very much on par with Senku and Suika, and that is saying something. But yeah, I will say you probably like the character of Wise just because he's a mixture of Han Solo with Senku. So yeah, that's my initial thoughts on Eden Zero, and I'll let Party Jams take a moment to give why you should read Eden Zero as well.
Cool. So let's see. Read my last message, Blazing Boy. Ann Arbor asks, is that Hatsune minutes? I think you mean Hatsune Miko's. So since she and Hermit have blue hair, I told her that's Hermit, please. Okay, cool. Anyway, Luke, just please stop. I don't like manga artist himself, and to bring me to read his work is almost impossible. Okay.
Well, I don't like some manga artists, but but just because you don't like the art, you can not like the manga artist, but I will say you are missing out, man.
Well, I mean, the other thing is, Ann Arbor, you're the one who's told us to give you 5 reasons. Okay, I mean, it's not like, I mean, we are selling the series, of course, because we both enjoy it, but at the same time, you did say, "Hey, give me 5 reasons why." We're like, okay, cool, we'll do that, and that's what I'm going to do. But I do want to quickly say, the whole 50-year thing, islands in the past and whatnot. I mean, I think that idea kind of came a little from Dragon Quest, specifically Dragon Quest VII. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And the other thing is, if you want to say the series stole from anything, the big thing you can say is like Mashima stole from himself. Like he reuses a lot of his own concepts and stuff. And in his defense, his universe, like his fictional universe, exists in its own multiverse. So I think it's kind of fair. But I will say it's a little off-putting when you first start it, and you're like, wait a minute, I've seen these designs and characters before. But I think he does execute it well enough. And I just don't like his writing style, and every interview I read about him just made me hate him more. I just don't like how he goes. His story goes against everything I stand for. I'm not sure. And the reason I meant as a joke. I never expected it was such a topic. And the stalling part was a big. And the stalling part was a
I
big
think
joke.
you mean stealing part.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, that's fair enough because it was one of the big critiques of the series in the beginning.
What exactly does he do that goes against everything you stand for? Let us know.
That's kind of a pretty strong statement. I mean, I can understand not liking his style, or because, for example, if you're not a huge fan of, like, say, fan service, for example, because I've seen a lot of people who just like avoid things with it in general. This could be very off-putting to you if you don't find like his art style appealing. I can understand that. If you're not a huge fan of the story structure he uses, I could get that because I enjoy it because I play a lot of RPGs and it's very similar to RPG style. But anyway, while you're answering that, I'm also going to say my 5 reasons, and I had to try to come up with reasons and try to explain them in ways that are not spoilery. So first, I think that I like this series because it tackles a lot of dark themes. I love series that do that, just for my own taste. Like one of the manga I'm going to talk about, for example, it's using a lot of like real world stuff in the form of like a manga adventure and taking it like extremely seriously, and I enjoy that kind of stuff. In Eden Zero's case, it doesn't do quite that, but it does get close. Where like Digitalis, for example, was like an interesting place where it's like, oh, well, it's a video game world. What does it matter the morals I use? but then that's kind of challenged by the characters and the way they feel, and that's like a part of the running theme. And then with Pino, for example, she's like a bot in a huge running thing in the story, especially with Hermit's arc story, is like the relationship between humans and bots, and that keeps coming again and again and again. And I like how they tackle that in like very twisted and fun ways. And I think that's like my first big thing, Cell on Eden Zero. I think it does do a lot of dark stuff. And honestly, I feel like Mashima does that for most of his series, but I like the way he does in Eden Zero. Number two, cast development. We get to see like these characters, like they start out like pretty simple, straightforward, but over time, it's kind of hard to explain unless you follow the series through. But they each develop a lot from where they start out, because they start out like simple and likable, but then they grow to be more complex over time in terms of their motivations, what they're fighting for, what their goals are, and where they end up. And I think that'll only go more and more based on some of the foreshadowing built up in the current parts of the story. So cast development is, I think, as I was taught with writing, like the most important part of a story. And then I think the third reason, great pacing. I don't think any arc has really overstayed its welcome too much. Like maybe like the next arc, not Sun Jewel, but the one after it is arguably a little long, but I think it's one of the best. So
Yeah,
I think
I
the longest arcs are like some of the among the best arcs. So they never really stretch out too much for me. Go ahead.
yeah. I was just gonna say like that has been like my main like criticism, I would say, of the series. It's that the arcs that I've read so far, they've been a little bit too quick for me. I feel like so much more could have been done in Digitalis than what we got.
And I think we'll talk about that in a second. But I think at the same time, while Digitalis was probably one of those arcs where it seemed like they kind of rushed through the end, for the most part, the pacing's never dragged. And I think that's a good thing, because a lot of series, even that I enjoy, I feel like, man, this series is still on this arc. I mean, I'm enjoying it, but come on, let's make some progress story-wise.
Yeah, if you don't like that, then you're not going to enjoy some of the art. If you do eventually start reading One Piece, you're not going to enjoy some of the art, because some of the arcs in One Piece, they go on for a little bit longer than they really need to.
Yeah, I've heard, and I think it'll be a little easier to digest that when marathoning, or sorry, when
Yeah,
binging. That's the word, binging a series, because like I'm binging, like some of the monthly series that I'm reading right now, and I'm about to catch up with. Like I would imagine if I was reading that on a monthly basis, like okay, here's a good example. Vigilantes, like their final fight lasted technically almost an entire year, but it's a monthly manga, so or monthly to bi-weekly, depending on how many chapters get released. So it's like only like maybe it's not that many chapters. It's actually an appropriate amount for such a climactic fight, because it was like the final boss basically of the series. But it felt so long because it took a year to release everything. But if I was binging it, I bet I would be like, okay, this isn't too bad. Maybe a little long, but not too bad. But I don't think Eden Zero, like even reading that on the weekly, like ever overstays its welcome. If anything, chapters almost feel too short, because every chapter we get a lot, and I'm like, man, I want more.
Yeah, I feel like
you'll understand once you're caught up.
Yeah, I feel like that's much more of an appropriate thing to say. But also one thing I want to say is, because we had this debate on Twitter, and if Blazing Boy is still here, I actually would like to know your opinion. Would you consider Pino a main character?
Yeah, and I mean, like me and Luke discussed this, and one of the things is, in my mind, I always synonymize main character and protagonist, but I think when he says main character, he means like main cast member.
Yeah,
which in my mind is a little different.
Yeah, I meant main cast.
That's fine. That's just he's the writer technically, so you probably know.
God, no. No, when I say main character, main character, I don't mean like on Shiki's. Like Shiki is the lead character, but Pino, I would say, part of the main cast of the series.
Yeah,
It's
when I
kind of
told him once he clarified his definition is that, yeah, exactly, Blazing Boy. I think once you would redefine it as main
because
cast, it
I
makes
said
sense.
I said I
Because
said
she's not on the level of like Rebecca or Weiss or Homura or any of like really the shining stars, honestly.
I did
So
say
I think that's why.
yeah, I did say a main character. I didn't say the main character.
Well, yeah, but even then, it's like there are several like
Yeah,
other of the main cast members that are much higher on the list than she is.
yeah,
Like Vega said.
it's kind of like how it's she's kind of in the position of where I put Suika in that Suika is a main character of Doctor Stone, but just not on the level of
No, but
someone like Kohaku or Chrome.
I feel maybe near the end of the series we can say that, but I think Suika, she had like a whole character arc that was beautifully done. Pino
Well,
didn't quite get that yet. She probably will,
technically,
but
she,
not
she
yet.
she's technically getting it because she does have a goal. She does have a
She
goal
has a
that she wants.
goal, but it'll come up again a little later, but it's not really explored yet. Like it's hinted at several times, like what's going to happen with the story, but we're not there yet. Like nowhere close. But
To be honest, Suika is stove Pino is stove Pino.
he meant above. He put an asterisk above Pino because she's done. Yeah, and I agree.
Oh,
Again, maybe
definitely.
later in the story we can say that, but right now Pino to me is more like Happy, um, like a companion character, and that's why they're always paired together. She's fun, enjoyable, but she's more. She has her uses more than she has her character
Yeah, because
at this point in the story.
yeah, because I always envisioned like to be a main character, like you have to like the character themselves has to like I said to you, like has to appear in at least a good portion of the story and plays a role in every arc, even if it's not a little role. Like they have to be like there amongst the main group playing their part in the arc, and it has to be for like not just one arc. It has to be for like a good chunk of the arc. So like you said with Carlos and Max in Dot Stone, like yeah, technically they did play their part in the arc, but they're not main characters because they've not been there through a good chunk of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that does make sense. But once you're more caught up with the series, we'll see how if you feel the same way.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, anyway, so finish up my reasons. Number 4 is like mysteries. I think Eden Zero pulls up a lot of like really interesting mysteries, most of which I can't really talk about. But like a lot of things like make you want to think. It's like, okay, hold up, what happened with the Eden Zero and the Shining Sisters and like all these characters and their backstories? As we learn more and more about them, it brings up more mysteries that we want solved, and they just keep building and building. And so, especially like with the current stuff, it feels like we're on the precipice of getting some big answers. So that's always fun. And then the last thing is plot twists. Now, in the beginning parts of the story where you're at, I think like there are more minor plot twists here and there,
Yeah,
like
I've not
like
seen
one with
anything.
Hermit's backstory. Like that had like a whole plot twist of how she ended up the way she did.
Yeah,
And then also with Elsie, I think she was like a minor plot twist. Like, but those are, I feel like, except for Hermit's, like fairly small in the grand scheme of things. But I think, especially starting from Sun Jewel, we get like bigger and bigger plot twists as we go
yeah.
forward.
Blazing Boy. Just in case you didn't realize, Party Jams has not read One Piece, so he
Oh
can't
yeah,
really.
yeah. I saw you commenting about Dragonfall. I have no idea what Dragonfall means, man. So I can't tell you. Um,
Yeah.
so
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I was just quickly gonna say, I had a theory about Mother, right? Since she's like this all-encompassing godlike figure, do you think it's possible that there are people in the series that basically have that are basically like an embodiment of Mother?
Oh, um, possibly,
Yeah,
but there.
Ca-
I mean, like there's certain attributes that actually point to that theory, but they come much later on. I think actually, I think it was Shonen Oji who did like a theory video that made me go, "Huh, okay, this character might have a connection to Mother that we don't quite know about yet." But obviously, we can't talk about that.
yeah,
I'm not fully sure because Mother's an interesting character we still don't know much about. but apparently she has a lot to do with the story in ways that we don't fully understand.
Yeah.
But one
Um,
of the main antagonists, like I would argue, like possibly the big antagonist of the series, is probably going to answer that for us soon.
okay. All right. Um, I'm caught
Uh,
up on One Piece.
yeah, Luke has caught up One Piece. I haven't read One Piece, but Luke hasn't caught up to Eden Zero, but I've caught up. That's where we are right now.
Okay. I found what I never see a female character that gets taken advantage of in that manner, like Tamaki in Fire Brigade of Flame in Fire Force. This, for example, let me drift from him. Well, I will say about Eden Zero and Alba is that the female cast are treated fairly in this series.
I don't know if I go that far, but they're treated better than other series, but not to the point where I would say this is a great series to show like
Oh,
equality.
definitely. I won't. Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I was just saying, like, they have more let me rephrase that. They have more purpose than just being fan service.
To the question of who is his favorite character. Wait, so he said Tamaki's his favorite? Is that what he was saying?
I
Um,
I have
I
no idea what you're talking about, Alba.
like if you're saying Tamaki's his favorite. To be honest, I also really like Tamaki, so I don't blame him for that. Um, and yeah, Blazing Boy. I also don't get Fire Force slander. It's honestly like probably one of the best modern series in shonen. But that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. But I'll just be that pay comment to say Fire Force is overrated. Have you read it? No, I don't need to read it. I know it's overrated.
Oh man, I'm so excited for season 3. Rumor is it's in production now. Although I have no idea what's happening at David Productions if that's true, because they still haven't finished JoJo's.
All
Anyway,
right.
so I think we did a lot of what we just did was discussing Ann Arbor's stuff. So what are stuff in Eden Zero you want to talk about now, Luke?
I just want to I guess I mean we've talked about Pino so I guess what really really surprised me is that I thought I was going to hate Wise when he first showed up because
Uh,
I felt like it was a bit too much of it up his own I guess mechanical know-how, but he's actually become one of my favorite characters. So it was basically he had the Ryusui effect, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I will agree. Ryusu was definitely one of those characters I thought I would like hate from the beginning. I'm very interested for my anime only friends to meet him, see how they think. And yeah, and Arbor, I finished Fire Force, and Blazing Boy did. Luke, I don't think has read it.
I have not read it, yeah, but yeah, what I love, like I said in talking about the characters, is that Wise he's kind of like a mixture of Han Solo, but with like a bit of Senku locked in there, in that in that he's a rebel rogue who's a genius at times, but can be a little bit of a snarky bastard.
Yep, and I would agree with that. I think what's fun is Weiss is another one of those characters who gets really good character arc going forward. Because in the beginning, yeah, like he's definitely a lot of an opportunist, but I kind of like the fact that he joined the crew because I think Shiki and Rebecca were and Happy were like very like standard generic shonen characters. So lack of new phrase,
Yeah,
but like Weiss was like interesting because he was more of a scoundrel, and I think he offered like a new a perspective to the series. And so like that's by itself really good for me because I like more morally great characters, but also I liked watching him grow as a character with the crew. But you'll see that as you go forward because I think of the main crew, like I think he's like might be my favorite outside of maybe Shiki himself. I mean, it's between
yeah.
Weiss and Shiki.
Well, I will say,
Kono's
I
my
will.
favorite of the female characters, but I think Weiss might be my favorite of in general of the crew because of his character arc.
Yeah,
Oh,
I,
night blazing boy. Thanks for stopping by.
yeah, Night Blazing Boy. I will say my top five characters. They're all part of the main crew, so it's no surprise. Pino, Homura, Hermit. No, Pino, Homura, Wise, Hermit, and Shiki. Like they're my top 5 so far.
Hmm. And you'll get more characters down the line, so we'll see how that list evolves. And yeah, and Arbor, I will agree. Arthur's like the Arthur fight, Arthur versus Dragon. I think we can say that is probably one of like the best fights like I've ever read, just in general. My God. Um, but yeah, that'll be cool seeing the anime. Going back to Eden Zero, let me, I guess, ask you some stuff. What were your thoughts on like the early arcs that you read?
Yeah, the early arcs. I will say, like I said, I felt like they could have done a little bit more. Like the arc where they had to go and rescue Rebecca. I felt like that was just over and done with way too quickly.
Yeah, and I think I would agree with that. I think they just wanted to do a lot of the early arcs really quickly, just to like bring the main cast together, which I do appreciate that with the pacing. But I don't think the pacing was like that big an issue for me until the Hermit arc, and that being that Hermit, she really, really detested being with people, and for very, very good reason. But the thing is, like, she warmed up to them like fairly quickly, like to
Yeah,
the point where I'm like, wait, didn't you just go through like all of this trauma? Like, how are
yeah.
you just like okay with this now?
I feel like what would have worked is that if she if it was just like, okay, I'll help you here, but that's all you're getting out of me. And I feel like it should have been more of just like moving on a little bit. Like she's more like an outcast of the group that kind of has to be warmed back into the group, and seeing their good deeds as well along the way.
Yeah, and I do think that would have been much better to watch her slowly warm up to the group, and or just like find like her own answer for what it means to be, because there's like I said, the idea of humans and androids keep coming up constantly in the series. So there are future arcs where her theme comes up, and I think they could have used it to develop her character. And some of them do. But I think that helping her become more accustomed with the people in the crew would have been nice. But at the same time, I understand Mashima just like needed her like and her skills to like carry the team to the future conflicts. So
Yeah. Um, and what was the other arc that I wanted to? Let me bring it up quickly. Let me find it. Um,
I mean, the only
so
other like big arc I think that you saw was the because I don't think the Xiao Mei stuff was like anything like really big. It was
yeah,
just a series of fights, and
I would.
I like her character, but at the same time, I find like her ability kind of like it doesn't make sense. Like, okay, I can see everything in the future, but except for the outcome of conflicts, and I'm like, how does that make sense? How does that even work? It's like I don't know who's going to win the fight, but somehow after that, I know like what's going to happen. It's like then shouldn't you theoretically know who wins the fight? It doesn't make sense to me, but it's also hilarious watching her be like a battle maniac, where she's like, "Oh man, I love watching battle shonen."
No, no, no. We've got to do it. We've got to do it in her way. Oh, this is delicious.
All right, I forgot she says that. I haven't seen her in a while. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, she's a fun character. And then the only other arc I was gonna say is that you saw was the Weiss's arc, I would think, because there was
yeah,
Weiss's arc, then there was rescuing Rebecca, and then there was Digitalis. I think those are like the only three like big arcs, because everything
yeah.
else is just like in between stuff.
Y- Yeah, 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 pretty much in between stuff. But yeah, the Wise arc I did find really interesting. I was just like, wait, what's going on here? Isn't this guy supposed to be an old guy? What's going on? And I will say, just the concept of that, like, how do you
Chronophage.
chronofish? Just the idea of this thing flowing in the vacuum of space that could devour a planet but not destroy it rather than reverse time. I find that just like a scary concept.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Like the chronophage are one of the most interesting concepts in Eden Zero, and like they play a central part in the story, and I like that they weren't just like a one time like equivalent of like a natural disaster. where it's like, oh, a planet is going to get eaten by a chronophage, everyone evacuate. It's like, no, they're important. Their existence is important. And yeah, it all starts with that one thing. So I think they're a very unique idea, just eating time. And then let's see, something else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, so what are your, I guess in the in-between stuff, what were your thoughts on like how the story started, for example, like where we got Shiki from Blue Garden? You still there, Luke? Did I cut off? Oh man, did I cut off? You gotta be kidding me. Why does this keep happening? Okay, sorry guys. I don't know if you're hearing me, but I'm not hearing anything. And the picture's still there. Oh boy. Oh boy. Why does this happen? Okay. Let me just like reopen the stream. Okay, it's weird because to me it says it's still live. I'll just message Luke. Hey, okay, I just sent Luke a. Oh, okay, Ann Arbor. Hi, I'm glad you're here because I am very confused. Normally, I'm the one who's dropping off. Our last stream it didn't happen, but okay. I guess Luke disconnected. I guess we'll give him some time. I just messaged him on Discord. See if we can figure this out. He might send me another link for the stream. We might have another stream to click on, but yeah, I guess. Let's see. Since we're just waiting around, Ann Arbor, is there anything you were going to talk about? Because me and Luke were just going to kind of talk about Eden Zero for a while before we moved on to some other manga. Any manga that you wanted to like recommend? You can tell me about that Oshino Ko manga because I don't know much about it. I just saw that it was on Manga Plus and like a bunch of chapters released for it. Okay. Oh, Digimon. Okay. So, like I was saying, I just finished the reboot recently because I wanted to finish the reboot before I moved on to Ghost Games because I enjoyed the reboot, but I also got really bored with how formulaic it was. Because I thought that the reboot was just like constantly doing the same thing, just episodically, and that really took me out of it. But at the same time, I love the production value that like modern day Digimon look like. Like the evolution sequences and the music were just excellent. It had like really good production value. But I also think that there were very bad decisions made in terms of the storytelling. I mean, we got Omnimon in like episode 4, only to get like Omnimon again, like near the end of the series. And I'm like, but we were already here. I don't know how we started from there and are coming back to it. So I think the series didn't have like the best story structures and kind of like used most of its really good ideas early on. And then after that, it just decided to try to make a grand narrative out of it. But I don't know if it really worked. At the same time, though, I think the reboot did do a good setup near the end to maybe do an Adventure 2 continuation. So I would be okay with it doing that because maybe for the second series, they can fix that. Okay, Luke just responded to Discord saying his internet disconnected. Yep, reboot was definitely a monster of the week, Ann Arbor. The music was quite outstanding. I'm still listening to it like on YouTube on repeat. Anyway, Luke's sorting it out. I'm just going to send him a message. Okay. So, yeah. And also, anyway, War Greymon. I guess I can talk about why he's my profile picture. I think one of the most memorable parts of Digimon from my childhood was honestly when Mega Evolutions first came up. Because, like, that moment where we were seeing, like, Mega Myotismon destroying cities, and then we needed Tai and Matt to get arrows shot through them in order to get the Mega Evolutions. And, like, everything was basically just an allegory for the end of the world. Coming from, like, a very religious household, that, like, really stuck with me. So I think I've always just had a soft spot for War Greymon with that storyline. Let's see. After Omnimon reveal in episode 3, I never felt any stakes. Yeah, exactly. It kind of did ruin the stakes. Although when the characters were separated, it helped bring more of those stakes up. But you know what also kind of ruined it? Like the last couple episodes, Tai just keeps coming in to every story for like no reason, as if we, the audience, didn't know he was like the main character of the series. I felt like that was incredibly unnecessary. So I agree that Tai Focus was just overdone. I mean, he's still like one of my favorite Digidestins, but man, they oversold him too much. And they did my boy Millennium Mon dirty. Yeah, honestly, there were so many other ideas from the original series they could have used. Like, I thought they were going to bring back the Dark Masters, Apocalypse. We didn't even really get. They didn't even really delve into like the Devimon arc where he was friends with Angemon at some point. It felt like there was a deeper story that the Digimon story didn't want to explore. The new Digimon designs are awesome. Oh yeah, I agree with that. I love like a lot of the new Digimon and even like the digital world. Why did we have so many one-off Digivolution? Oh yeah, that's also true. Like I did like the idea that they did some more branches of Digivolution, because of course growing up I always thought, Digimon, much like Pokemon, was just like one way where you just keep getting higher and higher forms, but it's predetermined forms effectively. But Digimon, when you play the games, it's much more interesting when there's alternate forms you can get. And I thought that the reboot was going to play more with it because they showed us alternate forms, but we didn't. Also, we got Metal Garurumon like through a race. That was one of the lamest things ever. Yeah, Devimon needed more screen time. Yeah, I Devimon needed more screen time as Devimon. Like, because the Digimon antagonists were so memorable, I think, because I still remember like Edamon and when he went to Metal Edamon, as well as like Myotismon, because we got to see them be evil effectively. And that was interesting. I mean, I guess like the one thing the series did do well is Leomon. Leomon survived to the end. We finally had a Digimon series where Leomon survived. We were all taking bets of when he was going to go down, but it didn't happen. Oh man, I'm so happy for my boy. At least he survived. Last end was so disappointing. Absolutely, he was disappointing. It honestly felt like they were a bit of a
Hey,
ripoff.
hey,
Hey man.
yeah, sorry about that. I just lost connection on my end.
Yeah, I was surprised because I thought it was me for a second,
No,
but luckily
no,
Anarvin was here, so he told me what was happening. I was
yeah,
about to like close the stream and just tell you we should probably make another one, but yeah,
oh,
cool. Glad you're back.
yeah, cool. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Fortunately, it was only about 10 minutes. Yeah, sometimes it will happen on my end where the internet will just die out for a bit, but it's all good now. We're back. So, yeah, if you just want to continue what you were doing, guys, I'll get it all set back up quickly.
Yeah, cool. I was just talking about the Digimon reboot effectively. So, I mean, I guess we can cross that off the list of things unless you had like more questions you wanted to ask me.
Yeah,
'Cause I think I got like a lot of my complaints basically out of the way. So did you want to like bring up more about Eden Zero, any characters and stuff? Because I know you're still early on in the story, so there's not too much.
I don't think I had any pretty much anything else to talk about with Eden. So it's a fun, enjoyable series that I've been enjoying and look forward to finding out more about it. But one thing I've got to say is that I love how I'm the only one who seems to have gotten why Pino is called Pino, because he's obviously going with Pinocchio S character there, and a lot of people be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I can't believe that that connection."
Yeah, I don't know why that's surprising. I thought that was kind of obvious too. I
Yeah, but
mean,
there was one comment I commented on someone's video because they were making a joke, because when Peter said I wish to become a human, when they were reacting to episode 17 of Eden Zero, yeah, they were like, "No, that's never going to happen," and I said, dude, believe in Pino and her dream because she is named after Pinocchio. Plus, if it can happen in Power Rangers twice, it can happen here. And this is what he said. Yo, I didn't realize Pino was inspired by Pinocchio. I'm like, how could you not know that?
yeah. Okay, so we can probably move on from Eden Zero. I think you wanted to also bring up High School Family.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to bring up High School Family if I can find out where it is. There it is. So yeah, High School Family, or as Sky said, who's not here, unfortunately, called it High School Goat Family.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a series that I'm also caught up with,
Yeah,
and you're caught up, right?
I am not caught up yet. I've gotten past the initial um idea weirdness of the series, but I'm
That
enjoying
could
it.
be any, depending on where
I,
you find it.
I'm up to the just after the chapter where the father is trying out for the tennis club, and
Wait,
everyone.
the father? Wait, the son is the one doing the tennis
No,
stuff.
no, the father comes in and they think he's the coach.
Oh, that one. Oh, well,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, so, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
So
that's the part I'm
yeah,
up
I guess
to.
you can kind of go over your thoughts because I think my thoughts are like the series eventually figures itself out once it knows what it wants to do with like the whole family cast, but that's not for quite a while, and it just
Okay,
kind of gets away with surviving because it's like a gag series. But art style wise, it's still like one of my least favorites in the magazine, to be
yeah,
honest.
I'm
I've
not
just
really
grown more
fond.
tolerant of it.
Yeah, I'm not really fond of the art style, but and at first I was just like, this is just such a weird. It's like you want to talk about weird concepts. This has to be right up there. Now, um, now I'm not saying like I don't find it like, oh yeah, the father and the mother, because they only got to middle school. Uh, am I seeing it right? Just from the JPEG, it looks like a series about parents who are students at the same school as the kid. Yes, that is basically what you have hit the nail on the head there, Ann Arbor. It's such a weird concept. Now, oh, gotta just let my brother know that it's working again, the internet. So let me just quickly go into Discord.
Yeah, so and remember, basically, the story starts off with like the main character, effectively the son, finding out, oh, cool, I got into this high school, and then like each of his family members, his parents who never finished high school, find out that
Well,
oh, we
no,
also got into that high school, and then the sister who is like younger than him skipped some grades and got into the high school, and somehow the cat they just threw in for good
yeah,
measure.
that is just like the weirdest out of all. Of like, how did the cat get in?
Yeah, it's just a continuously running joke. I mean, they play less with the cat later on, which is thankful because the cat's just not interesting even now. But the other family members eventually like grow on you.
Yeah, like
Um,
here's the thing. Here's the thing that I would like. I would have been fine with happening is that if the is if it wasn't the parents, like the parents just didn't go to the high school. Because again, I'm not saying like oh they can't go to high school because basically high school overseas would be the equivalent of like high school here for me would be college. Would be college. And then college for, over in America will be university. So it's not entirely impossible that I can see this happening because older people have gone back to college slash high school here and finish up their education before going on to university themselves. So it's just the idea of just like them just being just going to high school with their kids. That's like a bit like, yeah, I'm really. This is kind of like weird for me, and I would have been all right if it was just like the sister and the brother, and because you find out for Ann Arbor, you find out that the sister is really competitive, like to an unbelievable extent. And I would have been fine with that just being the concept of the series, with it just being the brother and the sister, and it's just a battle of who's smarter, and the sister almost always wins, much to the brother's irritation.
right. So yeah, I considering you're not caught up, a lot of like the more interesting story arcs that do happen later on, I can't really talk about much, so you can experience them yourself. So, what did you really want to like kind of go over for this part of the
Uh,
story or
I just
our
wanted.
stream?
I just wanted to give my initial impressions of it and say to people that yeah, yeah, if you can get over that hurdle of just the weird concept, I think you might actually enjoy it. But is it one of my favorites? Definitely not. Definitely not. But it does have some like really wholesome moments that I've just experienced as well with the mother who reunites with one of her middle school friends, who turns out the daughter, is their classmate at the moment.
Yeah, who is the main love interest, effectively.
Oh, okay. So we're going to see more of her.
Yeah, wait, I thought you knew that. That's like
Oh,
one of the first things we learned.
I
Maybe
didn't.
you didn't piece that together yet. Either way, yep, that's basically High School Family. I honestly was like lowest like on my rankings for most weeks I've read it, but it did get better, and I mean it's still like down there for the most part because there's
Yeah,
better gag series like Witch Watch, and there's even among the newer series they honestly just have better art.
yeah,
Like even PvP, whose art style, honestly, I think I grew to enjoy that more than I did grow to like High School Families, which I just kind of tolerate.
yeah. And and since we're basically just talking about series that were um were were not really doing on stream, I want to know what's your opinion on Mashal entering its final arc.
Oh yeah, okay, we can talk about that. I wasn't sure if
Yeah.
you were too interested because I know you don't read Mashal.
I'm not. I don't have any intention of reading Mashal, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts on what you feel about it entering its final arc.
Yeah, so here's the thing with Mashal. So there was a point in the story where I really felt like, okay, we're basically near endgame. All we got to do is fight the final boss effectively, and probably just gonna need some training before then. But then we had like an extra from I think it was volume 10 that, and like also I should say like I think back in volume 8 or something or 7, I think it was 7. Like this author said, it's like yeah, we're more than halfway done with the story, and then I was like, yeah, based on where we're at, that sounds about right. And then we got in volume 10. It's like, oh no, I was misinformed about the length of the series. Sorry, guys, there's more to come. And I'm just like, wait, but then what direction could we possibly go? Because the thing with Mashal is one of the reasons like a lot of people like dropped off from the series is that effectively it almost always ends the same way with Mash, just effectively overpowering his way through any obstacle. Similar to One Punch Man, but like in a more comedic and slightly more shonen-esque style than the pure irony of One Punch Man. Um, but I think for me, I was still enjoying the series because the artwork is great, and I do like the character cast. They're very fun to follow. They just don't get enough focus for it to be interesting. Now, I then when I kept reading the story of Mashal, the weird thing is they had like a timeline placed in one of those chapters, the recent chapters. So I thought, okay, so we're not near the end, but at least there's still a story structure figured out. But then, as of recent, we found out with the latest volume release that MASH is entering its final arc. And I'm like, my only thing is, I don't understand what is happening back there. Like some people say, we just misread the initial comments from before, where the author may not have said, "Oh yeah, no, I'm going to plan my series for years." He just meant, "Oh, sorry, my skills of estimating my series were quite off. We weren't exactly at the halfway mark, but we were close to that, or something." But I think my biggest thing with MASH ending is like I'm glad it's not overextending itself. I really hope it wasn't some weird like back and forth argument that got to this point, and it was just a misunderstanding. Because I really do think the author has like the final point in mind for a good while. Uh, but the big almost issue I could say with Mashal ending is that we know that Black Clover got confirmed for its final arc. We know MHA is on its way out. Last year, the Jujutsu Kaisen author said his series might be wrapping up in 2 years. It might be a little longer now, but it's going to wrap up in a couple years. And Dr. Stone recently ended. So once all those series are over, then what we have left besides One Piece, which has been going on for a while, keep going on, is Blue Box, Sakamoto Days, both of which are like fairly new, but they're going to be like some of the best selling series ongoing in the magazine. And then after that, we just have series like Elusive Samurai and Undead Unluck, which have been decreasing, and Yozakura and Witch Watch, which are kind of stuck where they are sales wise. And the new series, like a lot of them are very low in the table of contents. I'm guessing they're not received too well. And Ayakashi, of course, got moved out of the magazine. So I was talking with Vex and a couple other people in the Discord server for Controlled Chaos. Like that doesn't look too good for Jump right now because it's like, are they planning on axing some of these other series that they haven't been doing so well because they already are losing so many of these veteran series, and what are they going to have left? So yeah, Jump is in a very peculiar place. But I am so glad Mashal is ending because I think it should end soon. It would be weird for the story to keep going from where it is.
Okay, yeah, and also, yeah, sorry, Ann Arbor. So, sorry about saying in Discord that I'm back because you already knew. But yeah, um, yeah, and also as well, we've also got Akane, which is up and coming because that seems to be receiving really well. So that could potentially be sticking around for a while. Because
Yeah, it could.
we just had basically the author and artist being interviewed about the series. So with their Rakugo consultant. So it'll be interesting to see where if that's going to be like a new pillar of Jump based on what we've seen in the series so far. Um,
Yeah, but I guess my thing is just that with so many series ending and so many potentially getting axed, it's almost like Jump is in a very precarious situation right now with its sales.
I feel like
So
I feel like Jump might be asked. I feel like Mission Yozakura and Witch Watch and some of these other series, their authors might have the idea of like they want to keep it they want to keep it going for a good number of years still. Like
yeah, I would think so.
like Witch Watch,
I don't know about. I don't know about the other series. Like Undead Unluck, I'm not sure where the author's going with that story
like
was.
here's the here's what would be really funny about Witch Watch if it went on for as long as Gintama.
Oh man, that would be. It's just like Witch Watch is going to outlive everything.
Yeah.
I know a certain person on Twitter we follow who would not be too happy about that.
Oh, that would be hilarious if that actually happened. If like they 10 years from now, Witch Watch is still going.
That would be great. Honestly, I could keep reading that series for years. I could see it.
Yeah, because
Like the weird thing is, they really barely expanded on the magic world that they have, so they could keep going.
I know they really could keep going, and also they could. What would be a very funny gag to do in Witch Watch is if Nico tries to do a spell that sends them all into the future when they're at graduation because she wants to speed or because they want to break the fourth wall and do a no no no, no, not Nico. The manga artist is looking at their manga and thinking like, maybe I should do the series in the first year of high school and then skip to the third year and it's the final arc, and then everyone's just like, why would you do that? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And
And
I think that would be like a nod to the audience with the author saying like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to make this series go on for as long as I want it to go on. I don't want to do that trope because that is a trope that I don't know if you've noticed. Like they'll do the first year, like most of the series will be set if it's in high school, say in the first year, and then they'll just skip to the final arc when they're just out of high school."
yeah, no, I see what you mean because I honestly think that's where MHA could be going because technically they just entered second year, but the series is about to end. So I'm like, we probably will end the series with them graduating, right?
and it,
So
and yeah, and it was the same with Haikyuu. Like they just skipped to they most of it was like set in the first year, and then the final arc was like, oh, they're out of high school now.
oh, I didn't know that. I still have to get to the manga. I was just watching the anime, but that's
Okay,
interesting.
yeah, um,
Anyway, reading Ann Arbor stuff. Yeah, right now everything's ending. MHA, Black Clover, Mashal. I don't know about JJK, but that won't go on for more than 5 years after they jump along with One Piece left. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, no, I can again like the way Luke did. I can kind of send you that a source that I found where like it was an interview that Gege did.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But yeah, to be fair, nothing interesting ever happens. That is not true. That is not true. A lot of things could happen in the like. Hey, basing it on real life here. The second year, speaking from experience, the characters could get so overwhelmed with what's coming up that they could have a nervous breakdown. Speaking from experience here. Because when I was in my second year of university, I had a nervous breakdown because of everything that was just piling up over me.
And I mean, I guess the other part is in Japanese high school, like with. Wait, actually, I guess I really can't talk about that. But no, actually, it's fine. I'll look at the spoiler. Like High School Family, which we still have up technically. Um, that series like it continues forward just like naturally.
Yeah, because haven't they entered their second year?
Yeah,
Recently?
they recently did, and it actually transitioned to second year. They had chapters talking about that, and so
Okay.
I think this series will just naturally follow the years as it goes forward.
Yeah, my second year was boring. Like, here's the thing: it's a manga. You could do very interesting things. And here's the thing: why does it always have to be like, oh, they're out of high school, let's just end the series? That could be another like gag that they do in Witch Watch. It's like, oh, great, we're out of high school. We're out of high school. I guess nobody wants to hear about our lives anymore. Just kidding.
I mean, yeah, I would honestly like I've considered writing a story with high schoolers, but I feel like I would continue the story right into college or whatever
Oh my
after.
god! Oh my god! Can you imagine? Can you imagine all of them in college dorms? Like just one chapter of their like, well, in college we're going into college dorms, and then Nico just messes it up, and they're like, we're just gonna live at home.
Yeah, that would be actually pretty funny, and I could see it happen. Or they could do what the Psyche K did, which I don't know if you read that or saw it, but
I
in
am
that
not.
series, Psyche is like a psychic in like basically god level powers, and effectively like in that it's a gag series, one of my favorites of all time. Actually, it was in Shonen Jump, and it effectively kept going for years with the students, like of course in the same year. And the in-universe reason for that is because there's like a volcano nearby that will explode and end the world when it goes out. But Psyche is like, I have no idea how to deal with this volcano. So my solution is to just reverse time for an entire year until I figure out a solution for the volcano. And so they just keep repeating the same year constantly. And that's the way the story is like, yeah, that's why we never move forward until they
Oh,
do eventually.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
don't
maybe with
like.
Witch Watch, Nico will cast like a spell where it's like, okay, we're just gonna stay in high school forever until we like basically like they find an enemy they can't beat. It's like, okay, I'll turn back time so we can train through high school to deal with this enemy, and we can just keep repeating high school.
Oh my god. Well, Adult Life is even more boring than the second year. Or do you want to watch them do taxes? I would love to see how Nico handles doing taxes.
The funny thing is, you say that, but like this mangaka of like Witch Watch is very good at making mundane things super hilarious. So I
Like,
honestly think they could do a whole chapter of them doing taxes, because he did one with jeans, which I didn't really
yes,
like, but
yes.
he could
The
do
jeans,
like the most random things.
the jeans chapter is always gonna be the best chapter of Witch Watch, no doubt about it. End of story. This series can do whatever it wants. Plus, as well, what Witch Watch hasn't done the arbitrary beach chapter yet.
Oh, I mean, they kind of did with Mahiru's recruiting, but you're right, not like a full-on beach.
No, not full on beach. I mean, I of course did the beach chapter.
True. So yeah, we could do that. And the other thing is, like I was talking with Skyzet about this, is the sales for that series have very stagnated for the last couple of volumes, so I don't see it doing too much better until it gets an anime. But since
Oh
it's
yeah,
like a gag, I think that's okay, because I think in terms of the gag series in Jump, I think it's the best selling one. If you don't
yeah,
count, of course, Mashal and Sakamoto, which in my mind, those are both more battle oriented, especially Sakamoto.
yeah.
So like there's no like pure gag series that's doing as well as Witch Watch. So if those other gags can stay for much less, like Witch Watch should just stay for as long as it wants. It's selling like I think it's like on par with the Yozakura family, right? Witch Watch
Yeah,
sales.
yeah, it's, and I mean, looking at the sales itself, it seems to be getting a lot better as each volume comes out.
Yeah, it's like incrementally though. There's no major growth, but it's better than like Undead Unluck and Elusive, which are like losing sales each volume. I don't know if I don't know if the last volume Undead did better, but recently they've been losing sales per volume. So I think in that sense, Witch Watch at least be having reliable numbers. It makes it a safer bet than even
Yeah,
those series.
yeah. So
Anyway, we should probably move on. You had another manga you wanted to talk about?
yeah, just very briefly, I call. Um, Let me bring it up. Yeah, Oni-chan is done for. Like,
Yeah,
I
this
want.
one I haven't read, so I'll just let Luke talk.
Okay. Basically, how can I describe this premise? All right, it's a gender bent. It's like Ayakashi, so you have the male turning into a female. So what this series is about is basically you have I I sometimes forget the main character's name, so I'll need to bring it. I'll need to bring it up quickly. All right, so um we have the main character Mario, not Mario, but it's Mahiro. That my hero. That that's I think that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, they're basically, as it says on the wiki, a loser in every sense of the word. They have no job. They don't attend school. They have no ambitions, no end goals. They're basically a NEET, but they call themselves a in-house security guard, which is just basically a term of like, I have nothing to do except play video games. And their sister, who, like the sister in High School Family, is just this complete genius scientist. So she's basically like Suika if Suika was in our if like scientist Suika was in our world. Called Me Mihiru. Yeah, the names, they're very similar, and they're just like, my older brother is eating away at life, messing around their life. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna create this drug that is basically that basically swaps genders, so that I turn him into a middle schooler, and hijinks ensues after that. So I just wanted to bring up this series. Only China's Done For is great. Oh, you read it, Ann Arbor. That is actually that good on you. Yeah. So what I love most about this series is just the fact that it's such an odd idea, but because it's a more slice of life, gaggy type series, it just works so well. Like, they go all out with the gags in this series, and the fact that it's got an anime announcement recently, that makes it even more interesting because of the fact that it's actually a self-published manga. This is like a manga that's self-published on a Japanese website, and it got picked up into like, I think it got picked up into a manga magazine after being self-published, and now it's getting an anime adaptation. So this might, because the fact that this is self-published and it's getting an anime adaptation, this might open the door to other people who want to do self-published work and people discovering it, rather than being in like the mainstream magazines.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, wait, is that why you like picked it up effectively, or
Uh,
was there some other reason you were drawn to this series?
the other reason I was just drawn to this series was I just picked it up on a whim, and I was just like, okay, this is pretty nice and cute. And then I kept reading it, and I just kept loving it more. And there's one chapter that I've just got to talk about. It's chapter 4, where the main character is basically playing an MMO, and they get drawn into this guild. Right? And the other players are just like, yeah, this is just some guy who's got a cute little avatar. They're not really a girl. And this is after they've done the whole transformation thing, and they're like, no, I really am a girl. And they're like, prove it. And they're like, okay, puts the headphones on. Can you hear my voice? And then they're just smitten by just how cute she is, to the point that they actually fight over her and they disband the guild after that.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah.
So basically, is what appealing about this series like just the comedy style works for you?
It's just the comedy style and just the interactions between like the main character and just like getting used to the idea of being in a girl's body. And there is another chapter as well where they basically have a concussion where they actually forget that they're actually a guy who's been transformed into a girl by their sister. And the sister's just there, like, oh my god, they've actually forgotten who they are. Maybe I can re-raise them as my little sister. And this only happens for like about a day, and they're just like, oh thank god, I was very dangerously close to becoming my little sister's little sister. So I was just like, yeah, this is probably going to happen by the end of the series. There's probably going to be a point where they're like, you know what, I've done more as a girl than I did as a guy, I think I'll stay this way.
Yeah, I mean, weirdly, I don't know if there's anything that would push me to particularly read this series because
Oh
it
no,
seems like similar to Ayakashi, but with less of the stuff I really love about Ayakashi.
it's similar to Ayakashi. It just has less of the etchiness to do with
Yeah,
it.
that makes it worse. But
But yeah,
anyway,
that's.
cool.
I just wanted to bring some light to this just because it was a self-published manga.
Yeah, and I think that element is pretty cool for a self-published author because I remember even with One Punch Man, you know, that series started as like a web comic, and then
Yeah,
before it got picked up and drawn by like one of the best manga out
yeah,
there, Murata.
and
So
also
it's interesting with these kind of stories.
yeah, and also Rising of the Shield Hero started off as a web novel before it got picked up. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
very
yeah, true.
it's very interesting to see like these self-published things actually getting recognition, and I really wish more authors would do that. Like I really wish like series like Time Paradox Ghostwriter started off as like independent before, and people giving them like pointers of like, okay, what don't we like about the series, and maybe going back and redoing it, and then saying like, hey, I've redone it, what do you think of it now?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's definitely websites and places for people to do that, but I think what you're saying is like hopefully like more people will go down that avenue, and
Yeah,
that major publishers will pick up those series for their own. And I think that is actually an interesting idea because I feel like if I ever want to write my own stuff, I may have considered going down the self-publishing route myself.
oh yeah, I definitely did go down the self-publishing route with my stuff because I did try getting in contact with a publisher to get it published, but what they were asking of me was ridiculous. They were basically asking me to pay them to promote it, promote it, and
Like I'm assuming extraordinary amount of money too.
extraordinary amount of money. So I was like, yeah, no, thank you, goodbye.
Yeah, and I think that was probably the smart thing to do because weirdly enough, this is me kind of talking in like medical field, which I'm in. Like there was like one of the doctors I'm working with currently, like he found like this treatment for his son's GI issues overseas, and he's like, man, and basically it was just probiotics, like a specialized probiotic. He's like, man, this has worked really well, and this, you know, probiotics is a fairly sound science. So he tried to like help promote it in the States because we do have probiotics here, but they're not as commonly used for. And the reason apparently is just due to the pharmaceutical industry just having a stranglehold on our medicine. That's a whole other story. But the point is,
Okay,
he tried to get it done, but then the people who he got in contact with to help him do that said, it's like, okay, but you're going to need to like pay us to promote this thing. He's like, what? No, I'm not
yeah,
doing that.
no, don't never do that.
Yeah, which I mean, it is unfortunate, like how much just having money will get you what you want in life. But yeah, I'm glad you were able to like publish your book, and I'm glad this author found success
Yeah,
with their interesting enough premise.
yeah. So yeah, that's basically all I'd say on Oni-chan. And I guess now we can talk about what you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So I don't have any graphics for us, but
Well,
I have a few.
well, if you say the series, I can actually get the images and put them up on screen.
Sure. Okay. Then in that case, look up, I guess, first Talentless Nana.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This will. Um, yeah. This. Let me just save that. Put it in the Put it in the folder. Let me see if I can bring it up briefly. Mm, I'll probably have to go out, come back in. So let me. Sorry about this, guys. So it's
That's
taking
fine.
it's
And
taking.
another, yep. I will try to keep it as spoiler free as possible because I am hoping I can sell you on it. Because my opinion, it is among the most underrated series that I personally
Okay,
read.
is this Talentless Nana?
That's
That's also
perfect. That's
okay.
perfect,
Cool.
actually, because I was afraid you're going to pick up one of those images that tells us a little too much. But that's absolutely perfect.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so Talentless Nana. So here's the one line sell. This is basically just My Hero Academia times Death Note. That is what this series is, effectively.
Okay, you have already sold me on this series.
And that's the thing. I feel like if you describe it that way, it works, but it's also just perfectly accurate. But here's a little more details. Effectively, and yeah, I agree, Ann Arbor, the setting alone is great, but I think the characters and premise
Oh,
are what really go for it. It's
okay,
Among Us,
Another.
that's true. I didn't
Okay,
want to use the Among Us comparison because Among Us was really popular when the anime was coming out, so it got a lot of comparisons. But I feel like it's an overused comparison, but it's true. You can use Among Us if you like. But basically, the series is focused on this idea of talented students, which are effectively like superpowers or quirks or whatever you want to call it, that certain people are born with. And these kids with these powers are effectively invited to go to a school on an island where they train to fight off against the enemies of humanity. So, a fairly standard premise to begin with. It's just like students with superpowers training to go do stuff. And these are like the main characters of the series. Effectively, you follow the boy on the far right, Nanao. The girl in the center is Nana, and then the boy the far left is Kyoya, and he's one of
okay.
my favorites. Actually, I think Nanao and Kyoya are both. I think I like maybe Nanao a bit more with how they do his character, but I can't really get into that. But effectively, Nana's power is like mind reading, and like she like just comes in and is the title character, but really Nanao is like the focus, which is kind of confusing at first, but you get used
Yeah,
to it. Like when it was in one episode.
the title is confusing because you say Talentless Nana, but yet what you've said there is, oh, she does have a power. So it's like
Yeah,
the
it's
title.
confusing, but it makes sense when you follow. It's one of those series where you like. I for this one, I would say if you watch the first episode of the anime and you like it, just keep going.
Okay.
That's the best way I can put it. It's definitely one of those kind of series, and because like the Death Note aspects come like afterwards, because effectively, the enemies of humanity is kind of like what this series is centered around. Because the students, of course, are fighting or training to fight them or whatever, but they don't know too much about them because the information on the enemies of humanity is very limited, and there's a concern that the enemies of humanity might even be among them, and hence the Among Us references. And that's where a lot of like the conflict arises from, because
Okay.
eventually things start happening that make the students go, okay, something is up. And then our characters kind of have to like figure out what's going on, who are the enemies of humanity, and how they can deal with them. But effectively, what I like about this series is you got a lot of cool mind games going on down the line, as well as like a lot of interesting powers. The power sets, I think, are what make the series though especially special, because the talents are like so. have a lot of variety to them. But I feel like unlike MHA, they make a much more emphasis on really explaining each student's powers and their limitations on the powers. Because I feel like with My Hero, it's just like, oh, this is the guy who can go fast, and this guy like Zero, he's basically Spider-Man but with tape. Or Mineta, he has like grapes on his head or whatever. Like the powers are in MHA is like very goofy, lighthearted, comic book like, except for the big characters. But in Talentless Nana, most of the students are have like very interesting abilities and limitations, and figuring out how those abilities work are like kind of like in a JoJo style is like what the series like really centers on going forward. Um, anyway, and then continuing onwards, I think the anime is a good place to start with this series if you want to go. It's a very faithful adaptation, so you don't have to worry about any fillers or anything.
Okay.
I'm not sure where it is right now because it was on Funimation, but I'm not sure if they brought it over to Crunchyroll right now.
I could probably find it. I could probably find it easily.
Yeah, you probably could. There's enough material to make a second season. I hope it gets it because I do think, even though I'm reading the manga and I'm talking about it right now because I'm really enjoying what they're doing with the manga and how they've developed the characters and just the pure direction they've taken the series, like as because eventually like expands beyond just their high school is how I'll put it, and like bigger and bigger things happen down the line. Our characters are going to learn more about themselves and what they really want to fight for effectively. And it's fun watching that. And there's more than a material for a second season, so I hope we get it. Because this anime, in my opinion, is still like the best way to experience the series. Because the art is good, but I think the anime does a better job of like visually expressing the characters' thoughts and expressions, and really getting you in the right atmosphere for this kind of series. And of course, the music helps with that as well. So yeah, that is Talentless Nana, and yeah. So Ann Arbor, I hope I sold you on to watching that. Again, the best way I can put it is Death Note times MHA, and just watch episode 1. And if you've liked other series such as Death Note, The Promised Neverland, School Live, what have you, you'll probably like this as well.
Yeah. The only thing I know is that pink-haired girls are always evil.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
I think it's no surprise there that Nana does she have a dark side to her? Yes or no?
Well, you're gonna have to watch and find out.
Okay.
Yeah, if you do watch first episode, let me know. I'm definitely going to want to hear your question because I think it's really the first episode that helps you figure out, okay, what's the story about and who to pay attention to. And then the second episode onwards gives you like the basic formula for the series. And then I think, so the first few episodes will just tell you if you're going to like it or not. And then by episode 4 is, I think, the part where I'm like, okay, this series is great. This is definitely what I'm here for. And I honestly think that while MHA has better higher heights, like with like My Villain Academia and whatnot, and like the best arcs are My Hero are better than this series, I think the consistency of Talentless Nana is much better than My Hero. So if you had to make me choose between the two, I would probably say that while My Hero deserves its success for being a very cool superhero series that's catered towards like the masses, Talentless Nana is a much more interesting story. At least in my opinion.
Okay.
Which is just my subtle way of saying, yeah, I think Talentless Nana is the better series, but I can see people debating me on it because they're trying to be two different things later down the line. Anyway, so yeah, that's Talentless Nana. The other series I really want to talk about is Shadow House.
Shadow House. Oh, very easily just came up.
Figured.
Yeah.
This one is like thankfully confirmed for a season 2. Unfortunately, the series studio that did the anime is Cloverworks, and while they did a spectacular job with season 1, except for the fact that they cut out certain parts, it makes me concerned, but also interested to see how season 2 will be going on.
Oh dear.
And Robert, I'm not sure if you're talking about the synopsis for Talentless Nana or Shadow's House, but yes, I would absolutely recommend both based on what you've read. But while Luke is pulling that up, I think the closest comparison for any series you can have with Shadow's House is The Promised Neverland, because it's effectively,
So is it this series?
yeah, that one.
Yeah. Oh, all
This
right.
is this is effectively like a series where you are in a house with dolls and shadows, like pairs, and effectively the dolls are like the servants of the shadows, hence the shadows house, because the
Okay.
shadows are like nobles, and like the entire series is about unraveling the mysteries of the house, and like where how it what it is, what it does, how it came to be, and like eventually like what to do about the mystery as it comes to light. And again, it's another series where I feel like the anime is a good starting point. It's just that if you transition from the anime to the manga, it's a bit difficult because one of the arcs, for some reason, one arc they adapted it, but they cut out an essential character who is going to play a very important role down the line in the story. And in the season 2 trailer, they prominently feature that character. So I'm like, okay, but you guys didn't even have him. How are you going to introduce him? I don't even know what Cloverworks is going to do with that. But that aside, I think The Shadow's House is worth a read or a watch because, well, one, the opening and ending like are incredible, just visually and in terms of music. But the mystery of The Shadow's House is like very captivating, and even after like the answer it, you're very interested to see how the characters that you've grown to enjoy will do about it because there's a lot of Game of Thrones feels where there's like a lot of dealings and negotiations between the different noble shadows and the dolls, and that's fun to follow and watch. The problem is like the series is very slow and it's released on a monthly basis, so it I think honestly, like this is a series I could understand if people did drop earlier on, just because I think you need more than a couple episodes to really get into it. Because the first couple episodes, you're still like, okay, I mean, I can see that something's off here, but I don't know what's going on. But it doesn't really dig into it till later. So the best way to probably go about it is to like watch the first season because I think it'll get you hooked into it, and then you can follow it from there. But at the same time, I think the manga is worth a good read. Right now in the story arc, our characters our characters constantly face new crises, and I guess like the most current crises could put them in a good position of power, hopefully later down the line. Because I think if after the resolution of the current arc in the manga, we might see like a huge like turnaround in the dynamics of the Shadow's house and the people in charge. So I'm very interested with this series, and it's a good series if you like mysteries, if you enjoy slower paced stories, and of course, um, if you just wanted to like try to like watch a series that was like not more akin to The Promised Neverland, but you couldn't find anything after that.
Okay, I'll definitely just based on what you said alone here, I'll definitely give it a read. I might check out the anime, but
I think
since you mentioned,
Fine on our Discord server also reads it. If I remember correctly, I was talking about someone about it.
okay,
So you can also talk to him if you want
all
more
right,
details.
but
But
yeah,
yeah,
I'll
that
definitely be
was
checking
Shadow's
that
House.
one out. Yeah. So
So let's see. Do you read Dandanon, right?
uh, I've only read a bit of it. I haven't really dived back into it, but if you want to talk about it, we can do. I'll just quickly because I can use the Fizz app now for this. Uh,
True.
let me just try and see if I can find where is it? Somewhere around here. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I
So
would say among my favorite ongoing series that I'm reading, Eden Zero is up there as long as Jujutsu Kaisen. But outside of Jump, the weekly Shonen Jump magazine, anyway, Dandadan might be among my favorites. Besides what I just talked about, just because like it starts out, I thought that the beginning of the series was just very crude, and it just got off from being like, oh, we're the edgy comedic series that occasionally will just have some really amazing art. And I'm just like, okay, if that's all you're going to do, that's fine. I can read it just for the silly humor, I guess. But it slowly develops its character cast and starts taking its story more seriously to the point where the most recent completed arc made me like just super invested in the character cast and the story as a whole. So this one's a hard sell because I would literally need to tell you to like, okay, look, you're going to read the first couple of chapters and be like, I don't know, this doesn't seem like anything special. And then need to get through like multiple arcs before you're at the point where it's like, oh, this series is amazing and worth reading. But I don't know. If you're, I guess the best way to put it is if you're a fan of Chainsaw Man, you might be able to put up with its nonsense before it gets to the good stuff.
Uh,
Because I really feel like a lot of its early stuff was just like, oh, we're trying to capture that Chainsaw
yeah,
Man energy and
yo,
sell it.
just gotta say, yo, Mamsie, thanks for joining us. In a bit, we are going to be talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, and we talked about Eden Zero. So sorry you've missed it, but we are going to be talking about the Sonic movies soon.
Yeah, I also talked about the Digimon reboot, two series, but right before this, Talentless Nana and Shadow's House. And I was going to talk a little about Don to Don. I didn't. This is a series that's kind of hard to talk about just for the sake of being YouTube friendly. I mean, you've read the first couple chapters. I think,
I've
Luke, so you know what I mean.
I, I think I've read about the first 10 or so chapters briefly,
Yeah.
but it was a series that I was just like, what the? And then after a while, it's just kind of like I just kind of stopped catching up with it.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. I think I just kept going with it because its art humor did still work for me, even though I didn't think it was anything good. But it does grow on the characters. I think eventually the author just took its story a little more seriously, and then it got great. And also, yeah, hi, Mamsie. I know you were really excited to hear us talk about Sonic. I did have a few more manga I did want to talk
Okay.
about those. So hopefully you can like skip
Um,
through that. If you
well,
have anything.
yeah, I was just gonna say, Mamsie, if you have anything you want to recommend to us, feel free to recommend it to us. And also, I'd like to know what manga you were reading as well.
Yeah, I've like, and that goes for anyone else watching us right now. If you guys have other manga, like in this section, I also wanted to just hear what other manga people wanted or would recommend to us. Not saying we'll necessarily get to it because we keep getting recommendations for everything, but at the same time, it's always nice to hear what else people have. So yeah, so Down to Down, kind of a tough sell, but I guess it does get to the point where it's like one of my favorite ongoing series. I think they're definitely better manga than it, and I still think it relies a little too much on its absurdity. But I'm glad that this story evolved from being complete nonsense for the sake of nonsense to okay, we're going to tell a good story with good characters and actually like do proper storytelling. So yeah, let's see. Boarding School Juliet.
Okay.
So good. My heart feels after finishing it. Oh, yeah. Tell us a little about that because I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, well, I've just typed it in, so I've got it on my anime list. We lay on. So they do. I think they're going for the they're going for the Romeo and Juliet thing here with it
So,
because it's set in an academy where two countries both they're doing the both alike in dignity come together. The doggies of the eastern nation of Tao and white cats of the West. And Romeo and Juliet are the leaders of the dorms, and they seem to be bitter enemies, but they're hopelessly in love. So basically, it's like if Romeo and Juliet in the original Romeo and Juliet were the heads of their families.
oh, okay. That's interesting. I mean, I'm not huge on romance, but if there's like any other like hook to it, because I didn't mind the story of Romeo and Juliet, but I'm not sure what makes this one particularly interesting. And let's see, Digimon. Yeah, yeah. Tell us, Ann Arbor, about more about Oishi no Koa because I don't know what it is. I just see it in the Manga Plus app. And
Yeah,
V Tamers. Wait, V Tamers is that a manga?
I think so. Yeah, I see Oshinoko getting recommended all the time. Like Digimon Feed Tamers. Oh
It's
yeah,
better.
it is a manga.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
it
yeah. Just read that premise then.
it ran 1998 to 2003. So
Oh, it's a movie series. Got it.
Yeah, it has 58 chapters. So, uh, yeah, and Ty's the main character in it, of course. He's the main character in everything.
Interesting. That's kind of strange, but all right, cool. Um, I mean, I think it's just that I got a lot of that from the reboot, so I'm not sure if I want to do that. And okay, so a story that's loosely based on Romeo and Juliet. Is there anything special that boarding school Juliet did that you liked about it, King Mamsie? Like if you had to sell us on it. And while you do that, I think I basically talked enough about Don to Don. I don't want to spend too much time on manga, but the one more series I definitely want to talk about is I'm Standing on a Million Lives, the series that I was reading right before we were streaming. I'm
Standing
catching up
on
right
a
now.
million. I'm standing on a million lives. So let's.
Yeah. So this series is basically like it's not in Jump. It's on the same magazine as like Attack on Titan and Orient, and probably maybe some other series you guys might have heard of, like To the Abandoned Sacred Beasts. I don't know if you guys heard of that, but I've enjoyed those series, and this one I've discovered through the anime, and if right now I think it might be the most underrated isekai series that I know of, because I feel like there's like really good isekai. Yeah, it's perfect. There are like really good isekai series out there, like Shield Hero, and oh yeah, we could talk about Shield Hero too. We were going to
Oh
do
yeah,
that.
yeah, definitely. We need to definitely talk about Shield Hero.
Yeah, so there's like big series like Shield Hero, Overlord, and like series and Konosuba that people really like. And then there's like the generic isekai, which kind of just depends on what kind of stuff you like or what you're able to tolerate. But this one, I think, is one of my personal favorites. And like the basic premise goes like this: effectively, rather than being trapped in isekai world where like from this image itself you might think, okay, so that's a generic male protagonist who got stuck in a world, is super op powers, and got himself a harem and is just living the good life. That is not at all what is happening in this picture. The main character, for one, is like super cynical and does not like people. We learn more about that down the line, and he gets himself dragged in to a game like Isekai World, and he's kind of forced into the situation where he has to complete these objectives presented to them, and if they don't complete the objectives, they will die. And effectively, the story structure is that they have to do missions, and these missions are super painful to do. They get progressively harder over time. Like it starts out with as simple as travel the world. I think in this the picture where Luke got this from, that was their mission, where they had to cover a lot of area, but it's a significant amount of the world map, so it required a lot of strategy to figure out how to do that. While the most recent arcs I finished tackled one, taking down a drug war systematically, and
What?
then stopping like a major coup effectively. Oh, no, that's the current arc I'm reading. Stopping a major coup. Before that, it was, oh, yes, stopping exploitative business practices, like in a nation that was abusing its workers. Oh, man. And that was quite the arc. What I love about this series, like, it's super dark and down to earth because, like, you might think that that protagonist is OP, but he doesn't even get any fighting abilities for the longest time. Like, he starts out like his first, he starts out like just having the ability to be like a chef, and he can't really fight with that except he does have some cooking tools. So he kind of improvises for each of his abilities, like, okay, I need to figure out how to make the best use of these abilities to take out these monsters, because those other girls with him, they aren't exceptionally good fighters either. Their initial abilities and powers, they all suck. So even small low level monsters were a pain for them to deal with. And what's interesting about the series is just like the way they go about their missions. They have to be very tactful and consider like the best course of action, because if they don't, they're gonna die. And two, the characters like can't power their way through almost any of these things. They have to be smart about what they do. And the third thing is just the fact that their own mentality, because a lot of them have been through their own trauma that kind of affects the way they see the world and how they approach problems. And each of the stories, basically each story arc goes about developing a new character and learning about them. And I really enjoy the main character, Yotsuya, the male, the most, because he is extremely dark character, and effectively he comes to like really enjoy, like he comes to learn a lot of things about the world, some very dark truths about the world, and then accepts them and becomes more and more corrupted over time. And I really enjoy that. I kind of feels like if Naofumi from Shield Hero starts out really messed up, but then gets better over time. Yotsuya kind of goes the opposite direction, where he starts out troubled, but then gets like more twisted. But at the same time, there's like a slight glimmer of hope that he can come out the other end, a decent human being.
Okay. Yeah. Just on that, just on this image alone, I was just thinking, like, is this even the same series?
Yeah, no, because that's the way you would look at it. And I think that's the thing. I think this series isn't properly advertised. But I think other than Grimgar, this feels like one of the most grounded isekai, especially as you learn more about the characters and follow their struggles. Because like that drug war I talked about, that's explicitly modeled after the war on drugs we have here in the U.S.,
Oh wow.
dealing with Mexican cartels. I mean, they spell it out literally in it. And then the narc after that is like deals with business, the horrible business practices in Japan. So it is quite interesting, like the themes they take. And I think the current arc that I'm on might be referencing the Vietnam War potentially. I don't know, but I think that's where it's going.
Okay.
So, yeah, I really love the Dark Gritty series, as you guys may have
Well,
figured out with all my recommendations so far.
I will definitely. This is something that I think I will have to see to believe.
Yeah, this is again another series where it's pretty slow. I think one of the biggest weaknesses of the series is that the side cast isn't the best fleshed out or used. I think they get better over time as I read the manga, but I know that's one of the big complaints people have. It's really all about the main character for the most part, but at the same time, it's also a little slow on the slower end. So keep that in mind. And then if you, I don't know if you get past season one, but if you get past season one and then you watch season two, the second half of season two is like completely anime only for some reason. So
Okay.
I don't know how far you'll get, but
All
yeah,
right.
that is Standing on a Million Lives. Now, there's other series I also read, like that Blazing Boy, he's asleep now, but he got me on, like Kajiki's Chef and Gachi Akata. But honestly, those series are just too new for me to really say. It's like, oh man, because he's super excited about those.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm think those are good, but not great enough for me to go into. Like
Yeah.
Down to Dawn only recently got to the point where I'm like, yes, this is amazing. And
Yeah.
Talent's not I liked from the beginning, but that's a different story.
Yeah, I feel like Blazing Boy, like, no disrespect to him, but I feel like he really needs to calm down and get like, oh my god, this is so great. Everyone has to read it.
Yeah, and I will say, if you're watching this, Blazing Boy, you haven't recommended me one series that I'm like, at least I don't think you have that any series that I'm like, nah, no, man, this wasn't good. I don't like it. Like they were all at least good, fun to read, but nothing like amazing to the point where I'm like, oh man, I gotta tell everyone about this. At least yet. Although
Yeah,
some of them have promise. Gachiakata has a lot of promise in the first couple chapters.
yeah.
Um,
I kind of
and
learned
I
that.
could talk about some anime this season, but I know Luke wants to talk Shield Heroes. We can start with that.
Yeah,
So while you pull that, oh, go ahead.
yeah. Going back to what you were just saying, I kind of had that moment with the series Erased when that first came out, and then it kind of like went completely downhill.
I didn't mind the ending, but I do agree. Like, I think it did get worse. But I also feel like Erased had a lot of issues even from the beginning.
Yeah, I
Um,
just feel like it was just that I had that first episode syndrome where it's just like that concept. It's just, oh my, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life.
yeah, and I think to be fair, I've had those with some series, but like some series do live up to it. I think, like I think with Doctor Stone, I had that, and then
Oh,
with
definitely.
Talentless Nana, absolutely. But I also think that with Talentless Nana, for example, like while the anime was coming out, and there were people who were also like watching it on YouTube. Some of them didn't like the series as it went on. I personally think it stayed great to the end. But some people didn't really like it as it went on, and I think for them, they did have that whole like first episode syndrome. So yeah, definitely give that a try, but we'll see how that works.
So
Let
let's
me
just
just read these comments because we have a
yeah.
lot.
So Oshinoko is about a 16-year-old
Oh,
old
she's pregnant.
and as you
Did you
guys may
know?
know, oh, oh, okay.
Open relationship. Her carrier, you mean carrier? I think manager. I'm assuming.
No, Korea.
Oh, career. Oh, okay, got it. Oh, if Idol has. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, I do know that. Open relationship. I got it now. So it's always about her trying to keep her children. Ah, that's like really sad. I mean, I might still try it, but that's like very sad. Okay, good to know. And then Mamsie says, for one main character's growth, he goes through a lot of good character development through the stories, typically rom com. Okay, cool. I mean, I do like it when protagonists of rom coms are not typical. They're usually better that way. Like with Snafu. Then Ann Arbor, the problem comes from the stalker who found her in the hospital. Oh, okay. Wait, who after? Oh, okay. Wait, that. Okay, that kind of threw me off. I need to read this again because I'm not sure if I read that correctly.
And killed the doctor who helps her with delivery, who afterwards is reincarnated as the.
Wait, but that doesn't.
So the
How does that
doctor,
make sense?
is reincarnated as the child.
Yeah, the child he helped deliver. I'm a little confused on that, but okay. And then Mamsie, also the side characters are really good too. No, I feel like that way. Sorry. Okay, also good. And then Herbert talked about the whole showbiz world in Japan. Is up to date with cancel culture, cyberbullying. Okay, that's fair. I mean, like with this series I was talking about, A Million Lives. I just catching up with the series, and then like after the most recent arc that completed, the characters go back to their world and start talking about the current global disaster that's going on right now. I mean, not like the one that's making people sick, and people, the characters are wearing masks in the real world, and I'm just like, wait, what? I didn't think we were gonna do that. Okay, so yeah, I do like it when manga use like current world stuff. It helps make the series feel very real. So I do like that. So okay, I think something you have to read probably won't age well as it's hard. Yeah. Okay. Cool. One Piece of type data delivery. uh, 3 hours before the birth. Okay, yeah, but
Okay.
okay, at least my
Well,
understanding of reincarnation, I always thought it's like not just like when you're born, it's like when you're conceived is like how that works. But either way, I will say I think you did a good job selling me on it. So
yeah,
I think yeah, I'll
definitely.
give it a shot for sure. It
Yeah.
looks good, and I know it's on the app, and a couple chapters are out. And I have a friend, my best friend's sister, actually. She is always trying to get me into certain Idol series because she loves Idol series, and specifically Dark Idol series. She hates like the fluffy stuff. So I think I'm always on the precipice of getting into that subgenre. So yeah, I think I'll be getting into that Idolish 7 and a couple other Dark Idol series soon. So I'll just add it to the list. I have a whole journey of Dark Idol series to get into.
Yeah, and I'll definitely be checking it out. It's been on the list for some time, but I'll definitely be checking it out. But for now, let's.
And Mamsie, I think your series also sounds somewhat promising. At least it seems like it it's a rom com, but it has like the things most rom coms don't have, which is like a good story, protagonist, and cast to go along with it. Because with Blue Box, for example, I'm kind of bored with a lot of the characters.
Yeah,
Like, we're so bored with a lot of the characters, even though the recent chapters were decent. And I enjoyed them. I'm still like, man, this is just like so standard rom com.
yeah, definitely, and it's one of the reasons why I'm debating whether or not I should drop it completely.
It's funny just because I dropped it originally, but picked it up for us to talk about on stream, and then we
Yeah,
stopped talking
and
about it.
then we stopped talking about it. But yeah, anyway, I guess now we should talk about Shield Hero.
Yep, and also, guys, I'm thinking I may or may not do these timestamps because they're getting like really hard to do.
Yeah,
So maybe
yeah,
not for this stream, but maybe I'll see how I feel during the week.
if you don't feel like doing them, just don't bother.
Yep. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, the good news is since Luke's prepared with these pictures, they're really nice for me to even use to reference timestamps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mamsie. Blue Box is enjoyable, but just generic. It's still weird to me, like when I watch like Shonen and Chill and their reviews, and they're like, "Man, can't believe how super relatable and take down to earth this series." And I'm like, "What kind of lives did you guys live
Yeah,
that this is relatable?"
uh, well, I guess the related to the fact that they probably had someone they liked, and people were telling them like, just get on with it already.
I mean, I don't know if it was that specifically, but apparently they relate with a lot of the struggles, which maybe for some people they do, but for me, I didn't have most of the struggles that these Japanese high school students go, which is fine. Not every story has to be about my struggle. I don't expect it to be. But weirdly enough, I think there are stories where I do see my struggles in it, but not this one. And I don't know how many people relate.
All right.
But friends, I have to go. It's almost 1 a.m. Oh man, yes, go to sleep,
Oh,
and remember, have a good
yeah,
rest.
yeah. Have a good rest, man. But yeah, Shield Hero. So, what's your overall opinions on the second season so far? Because I've heard a lot of people are like feeling like it's being rushed in places, and yeah, after delving into some of the manga, I can agree on that front myself.
It's weird because I was talking with my best friend about it because he's also watching Shield Hero, and it's like his least favorite of the season right now from what he's watching. And I think for me, and maybe for him as well, it this arc. I mean, I do understand there are parts of the story that are definitely feeling rushed because we start off with one episode learning about the threat, then like 2, 3 episodes in, we looks like we dealt with it, and like every episode is just like another like random big thing that happens. But for me at the same time it also feels like we're barely making any interesting progress, because I like with the first season, for example, we had like the first couple episodes, of course, we're establishing the character, but we also got to see so much of the world and like got to see even the other heroes and what they were up to, and come across different conflicts. We're still like 4 episodes, I think, in now 4 or 5 episodes, and we're still
Yeah,
dealing with this turtle. And the turtle, like even in the first episode, they're like, "Yeah, this is a side quest.
yeah.
This is just like a major side
The
quest."
problem is that the Spirit Toe arc in the manga is like 30 chapters long.
Okay, but I mean, like 30 chapters can be a lot or a little depending on the
Uh,
series. Because, like in
yeah,
Doctor Stone, for example, there were arcs that were 30.
Spirit Tortoise arc. Let me just get it up quickly. So
Yeah,
Spirit
I
Toe
have
arc.
heard in the manga, like even or in the source material, people also didn't really like this arc, and so it might be one of those arcs they just want to get over with, which is fine.
Yeah. Oh,
But
actually, yeah. Light novel chapters 31.
oh, okay, that's different. Oh
Yeah,
man,
yeah. Sorry about that. That was my bad.
that's
But
fine. But wow, okay, yeah, no, okay, okay.
yeah, so I get why. Yeah, and also I get why this arc isn't as popular because I feel like the aftermath of the Spirit Toe arc, from what I've looked up and read about, is probably going to be way more interesting than the arc itself. Particularly what happens to the other three heroes.
Yeah, weirdly enough, that reminds me of the My Hero War arc because people are hyping it up for season 6, and I'm like, I don't know, the war arc was cool, but I think it's like the stuff after the war arc that's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I don't know, Mamsi. Have you read My Hero? So I just want to know so that we don't kind of spoil it for you.
Yep.
Briefly then. But yeah, my thing that I really am starting to see is that I'm debating whether or not I do like this like more nicer version of Naofumi because
I think that's fair.
in the manga he's nope, I don't read My Hero. Okay. Um uh but yeah, with Naofumi, I feel like he despite getting cleared of his name, I feel like he should have maintained its more like gruff personality.
Yeah, and I think here's the thing. I think the series is trying to like eat its cake and have it too with that regard, where they're showing Nafumi being like, because I did like the moment where he was running along the soldiers and raising his shield, and everyone was cheering him. That was nice to see.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, they also have moments where he tries to be a little bit more, oh, I'm still impersonal and not fully emotionally connected and have
Yeah.
attitude. So
Uh,
it's kind of wishy washy, and I do agree that like the appealing parts of Nafumi early on were that anti-hero vibe he gave off, which he kind of lost like near the end of the last season, and even now he's kind of playing both sides with it.
Yeah, because in the manga, it's actually him that suggests Rishi gets the slave crest, and
Yeah,
it's
I've
not.
heard that.
Yeah, and it's not just it. Like literally, I'll find the panel, and and you can actually see, because it's not just her. It's Keel that he actually. Well, he doesn't suggest it. It's more like demands it. Rising of the
Yeah,
shield.
and I think in that way the anime adaptation seems to like almost want to go a different direction with the character, which might be hurting the story as we're seeing in the second season. And I think what's disappointing about it is I do consider Shield Hero like among the best of the Isekai series, like I
Oh,
was saying earlier,
I
because
definitely
like
do.
ReZero I think is like many people's favorite. I think ReZero is a little slow and confusing with the most recent season, which is just like the nature of the story. And then like Log Horizon, I still have to watch the third season, so that was like my all-time favorite for a good while. But at the same time, I think it kind of depresses me when like a isekai series that I'm like really enjoying comes back, and I'm like, I don't know if I like this as much as I did before. Kind of happened with Konosuba a little bit. Definitely happened with ReZero. Shield Hero is starting to feel that way.
Yeah,
Log Horizon again. I haven't seen the third season, but I feel like I'm unconsciously avoiding it just to prevent that from happening, because nobody was talking about Log Horizon at all when the third season was coming out. So I don't even know if it was actually any good. So I'm kind of worried about that series.
yeah.
And with Shield Hero, I will say with the last episode, I love the way it ended because it got me interested again for the coming episodes.
Oh
Because
yeah,
like
definitely.
last couple episodes, I was like, okay, yeah, we're fighting the turtle. We're still fighting the turtle. We're just gonna learn more about the turtle. And now it's like, okay, now it's something interesting's happened.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it up. Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
So that's basically how it goes in the manga.
Okay, sorry. The image quality is kind of not great, so I can't really read it too well.
It
I think he says, "What do you mean, slave?" As I
yeah,
thought, the Shield hero really is a bad guy.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah. So that's what it was. So basically, he basically demands that they become their slaves, and Kyo is what in there as well.
That is disappointing they took that, because I think he'd be definitely a more interesting character if they went that route.
Well, actually, you want to know
Um,
what's interesting about Kyo? Not a he.
uh, oh, my bad. Then I thought
Yeah,
it was a he.
Kyo is confirmed to be a girl.
Oh, I didn't know that. I always just thought it was just based on the design. It was a guy.
Yeah,
That's my bad. But yeah, I think that did ruin it. And I think the other thing with Shield Hero that my friend pointed out is that there's so many characters we don't really care about that are in this central cast now. Like there's that Eclair girl who's just like a
yeah.
sword
She
from another nation. Who's
Yeah,
just
apparently she's supposed to be the daughter of the ruler of Raftalia's country before Nafumi.
Yeah, well, they did explain that quickly, but again, we don't. She's kind of just here all of a sudden,
Yeah, she's
and then we also have that old lady who's like a
yeah,
martial artist.
yeah. The supposed in the manga, there's like a whole training arc they actually skipped where she actually fights Ren, the sword hero.
Yeah, so the problem is, I think, of the series is I think they did so much editing that we're kind of left with a half-baked second season, which this series is already confirmed for a third season.
Yeah,
So we have
I
a
don't
lot
know.
more to come.
Yeah, I
What?
don't know why they just didn't do um another season of 25 episodes.
Yeah, how long is this season? Is it 12?
13. It's 13.
13. Okay, so then the third season probably also the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what's up with that, but at the very least, I think this is definitely a series that's gonna lose a lot of its own reputation, very similar to a lot of other big isekai.
Yeah.
So that's
I feel like
unfortunate,
the
but at the
only
same time, I'm still gonna watch it because I'm having a decent time with it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to watch it. I'm more interested to find out how they're going to do the whole thing that happens with the other three O's, because basically they go through what now Fumi went through, in the sense of that they get discriminated against.
Yeah, and I guess the other question is if I should ever bother with the manga, because it is kind of unfortunate they edited him. It reminds me of like Radiant, where the protagonist is kind of a jerk. He's not like as bad as Nafumi by any means, but like a he's kind of like a hothead with like a bad personality. But in the anime, he's just like the most generic protagonist ever. I still enjoyed the anime, but when I went back to read the manga, I was like, oh, he's way better here.
Yeah, and it seems to be a. I mean, I do like Naofumi in the anime, but I would say I do feel like his manga counterpart is a little bit better.
I mean, at least from what little I've seen, seems a lot better. But still, it's not like Naofumi's a bad protagonist by any means. It's just that they seem to want to accelerate his development in the anime
Yeah,
for some weird reason.
yeah, I feel like it's more to gate because anime is more like for a broader audience, and they might feel like him being like too mean might be a little bit too much for them.
Eh, I don't know if that was a good idea, but we'll see how the rest of the season pans out.
Yeah,
I am watching some other anime, but honestly, I'm okay with moving on to talk
yeah,
about Sonic since
yeah.
Kingman is here.
Yeah, Ramsey, we are going to talk about Sonic now, so I'll get up. I'll get it up quickly.
Yeah.
What I
Plus,
have.
honestly, I think this season as a whole, there's not too much interesting stuff. Some cool sequels, most of which I'm not watching. Spy X Family, I'm not watching. I'm reading the
Yeah,
manga, and I don't really need it.
yeah,
And then the rest are a bunch of gags. The
yeah,
only series I think that I'm really interested in, like watching weekly right now, is like Tomodachi Game, and even then, it's like too early to say if it's like, oh my god, you everyone needs to watch it. But it's my kind of show, so I'm enjoying it.
yeah, definitely. And also with Spy X Family, yeah, I'm not bothering with it, and I'm just praying. I'm just praying that people don't turn against it, like what we seem to, like what I seem to have done with the manga.
I mean, I feel like even then, like Yumi and the controlled chaos community, I think we're kind of in the minority with that as well. Just I think most people still are like really liking Spy X. So,
Yeah.
and also I find it funny, like the more now that the anime is out, that I say Hunter Hunter, but I pronounce the X in Spy X Family. Like saying Spy Family doesn't sound right to me for some reason.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I
But
don't
yeah,
know why. It actually might be the correct pronunciation, but I find that hilarious.
yeah. So yeah, I guess now we can talk about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie franchise. But I guess you could if you want to start this off, because I really need to go to the toilet quickly.
Oh yeah, go ahead. All right, so Mamsie, I hope you're here because we're going to talk Sonic. I'm just going to say this right now. This is going to be like full spoilers for like everything. I'm not even going to bother avoiding things because one, the movie's been out for a while and I have so much I want to talk about. And trying to not talk about spoilers is just going to be too hard for this series. So if you don't want to watch it because spoilers it hasn't come in your country, you're planning on watching it later, that's fine. Feel free to leave and come back when you have seen the movie. Okay, and I think Luke also want to talk about the first one. Um, but I think the basic subplot of the first one, well, I guess we could talk about it a little bit, but I really just want to talk about the second one more than anything because it just came out. Okay, so what I really like about this movie in general is that this movie did a good job not only building itself off of the first movie and all the things it did and bringing in the elements of that movie, but it did a great job in setting up a lot for the future movies and franchise as a whole. And I have talked to people online about like why does Sonic need like so many movies for itself? But I think that while there it's true that for some stories you can just have like a movie or a trilogy and be done with it. But I think a cinematic universe for Sonic works super well because the franchise has been around for like 30 years and is super lore and story heavy. It has so much it can pull out from. Like it can do easily 5 movies without even touching the most recent stuff. And that's just from like the mainline games. It can adapt stories from side games, comics, and all kinds of cool stuff that I hope it delves into because I hope this franchise is immensely successful. And actually, I might as well talk about the success of the movies a bit as well before going into details. because right now the Sonic movie 2 had the biggest opener for video game movies, and I think the fourth highest for the year. Is then it also just recently had got the highest grossing domestic video game movie, and based on its current trends, because I looked into all the numbers and I'm actually pretty decent at math, it's probably with a little bit of luck going to end up in the top 5 movies worldwide, I think. And that's and there are a lot of more arguably successful movies out there, even in video games compared to Sonic in terms of like how much money they made. But I think the reason that Sonic's particularly important is because there's not too many of those movies that are financially successful just because they made a lot of money in a box office. Because what I've learned from movies with the Sonic franchise is that success is very much dependent on not only making back its budget, but making 2 to 3 times its budget.
Yeah,
Because budget for a movie, of course, you have to make back because you spent all that money. But then there's like the advertising fees, which aren't included in the budget, which are almost apparently estimated to be as much as the movie itself, which is crazy to think about, but kind of makes sense. So the Sonic movies are like among the few financially successful movies on box office tickets alone. Because like the highest grossing movie for video games, Warcraft, it did not nearly make back its like the amount of money it needed to. Detective Pikachu's similar story. And then I think the only other ones that I know of that are financially successful are like the new Tomb Raider movie and Uncharted, which weirdly enough, not many people talk about, but it did well. So
okay. What
apparently,
about
it's like I think that movie, based on what little I looked into it, because I haven't played the Uncharted games, but it's apparently people just went in there for Tom Holland.
oh, of
So
course they would. Of course they would go in there just for him.
in
But
terms of
one
the story, it's like no Uncharted.
yeah, what one thing I wanna would you say Wreck-It Ralph is a video game movie?
A good question. I think a lot of people do count that one as their favorite just because, they really enjoy that one. But I think for me, I mean, one, I'm a huge Sonic fan, but two, I don't know if there was like the Wreck-It Ralph game. I know that it exists. I wasn't sure if it came like before the movie or what,
Huh.
or it came after. I think that's my only thing because I'm not sure. Because I think the way people just talk about it when comparing to Wreck-It Ralph, it's like okay, this video is a video game movie based on a video game franchise. So I'm not
Okay.
too sure on that. So I mean, if you want to count Wreck-It Ralph, you could, but I don't really see it talked
Okay,
about
that's
too
fair.
much.
That's fair. As long as you don't count Pixels.
Yeah, Wreck-It Ralph also got like really weird with the sequel as well. So
All right. Yeah. But yeah, it's insane how well the Sonic movie franchise is actually done as a whole. Considering it was nearly thrown in the gutter
oh yeah,
for one simple aspect. So like I want to know, like I honestly want to know, because I actually tweeted the voice actor for Sonic in the
yeah, I
movie.
saw that.
Yeah, I have to know what he actually thought, what he generally thought about Sonic's original design. Because he must have, because he said he was a gamer himself. So as a gamer, he should have looked at that and thought, this is not going to work, guys. We cannot show this.
Yeah, but at the same time, as a voice actor, I don't know if he has much executive decision making
Now,
for
I feel
that.
like no, I feel like he should have gone to the director and said, look, man, this design is not good. People are going to freak out at this.
Yeah, but I mean, even if he did, I don't know if voice actors really get much say in what they do. Because, like, look, I was seeing a lot of the interviews done. He really just provides the voice after a lot of the filming has been done already, and the
Oh,
CG is probably put in like afterwards.
oh, right, fair enough. But someone should have just looked at, yeah, voice that, okay, fair enough. But still, somebody should have just looked at that and thought, like, yeah, this is not going to work. And again, I don't know if this was actually true. Like, they deliberately showed that image and they already had the design already figured out. Like, the big conspiracy, like, this was whole planned. This is like,
Okay,
and Eisen exactly as planned.
I'll talk about that a little because I've heard that brought up, and I highly doubt that's the thing. And here's my evidence effectively. Number one, there was merchandise that people have found that were based off the old model. So they would have also had, for this conspiracy theory, to have made stuff to sell or to at least look like they were going to sell it. And besides just having a trailer. And two, besides like the posters and stuff, they also had to like get the model redesigned and stuff and put it into the movie. And the effort to do that, along with some other factors, caused the studio, the animation studios that worked on the first movie, to actually go bankrupt. I think it's VFX Vancouver.
Okay, I just want to comment on Man's comment here. Okay, the higher ups in the suits wanted it, but Jeff and his team were. Okay, so here's what they could have done. If I was Jeff and I was his team, this is what I would have done. I would have been like, right, we're going on strike until you fix this.
I mean, at the same time, I don't know how Hollywood contracts works, but yeah, and I think there is that whole thing like Mamsie brought up, which is a good point, because it's like a lot of course, fans, myself included, love to say that it's like, okay, it's because we said so much against this that this got changed. And I like to still believe that. But Mamsie might have brought a good point that it might have been the non-hardcore fans that had something to say that changed their minds, which it was probably the case, but I still like to have some credit for it.
Like, did they have like a test audience beforehand?
Yeah, and also people do gotta eat. You are right, Mamsie. And I don't know, Luke, that is a good question. You feel like they should have shown someone who was like, okay, would you watch this? Because my God, I don't know who there's a lot of reasons why. My best guess is this: someone's just some old dumb person with a lot of money and completely separated from reality, just made that decision, and then everyone else was just being a yes man and just pushed it through, either out of apathy or out of just like general. I don't know. They just didn't care.
Yeah, probably.
But man, I'm so glad that you're right. I'm glad that changed.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing that happened with like Guardians of the Galaxy, where they fired the director, and it's like just listen to the fans. They will respect you, and like they did. It's the exact same thing that happened here.
Yeah, it's weird that people haven't figured that out yet. Like that's what you have to do. You have to listen to fans, and I do like that they are still listening to fans. Like, and I think the second movie is a huge evidence of that. Yep. Thank God we bullied them though, because yeah, that is true. We wouldn't be here. Justified bullying.
Here's an interesting question for you two, for you, not just for you, but for Mamsie. Since they got Sora from Digimon to voice Tails again, I find that hilarious that the same voice actor for Sora in the original Digimon series is the voice of Tails. Will they get like one of the original Shadow the Hedgehog voice actors, or would it be like an Idris Elba thing?
Wait, sorry, can you repeat that?
Because people are saying like, oh, Shadow will get a new voice actor, but people want the original Shadow the Hedgehog voice actor back, and they want to be like with Tails.
Yeah, well, okay, I can talk about that for a bit. I have some thoughts. So with Tails, for example, they probably had the post-credit scene planned very late in the game, and getting a celebrity to voice like one line would have just not been worth the money, so they probably just got the Tails voice actor to do it. And then I think for the second movie, they decided to keep her on, partially to show the fans, hey, we're listening to you. We're giving you guys the current voice actor and not just putting in a random celebrity. But at the same time, I felt like a slight obligation to it, because with Knuckles, they got, of course, like another big star, Idris Elba, to do it. And he did a good job. I will say he did a good job. And
I have no complaints.
Yeah, me neither. I think it sounds a little off when you first hear it, but then you're like, no, this voice works for Knuckles, this version of Knuckles. And then with the Shadow, I think the reason that we had no voice lines from him is specifically so they can just pick a voice actor. So that otherwise, if they just had like a line for Shadow, they would have to keep that voice actor in, whoever they are. And it wouldn't have been a celebrity because again, it would have been one line. Okay, and the second thing, the big thing people are saying is they want Jason Griffith back because that's what most people's favorite version of Shadow. But he doesn't do the current voice of Shadow. For those who don't know, the current voice I believe is Kirk Thornton or something like that. And Kirk's voice, I don't mind it, but a lot of people don't like it because it's very much associated with the current caricature that Shadow's character has been in the most recent games after Griffith stopped voicing. So that with that association, and people's hope that's not the kind of character Shadow will be in the movie. People don't want him in; they want Jason Griffith, and I don't know if they'll bring in like a previous voice actor, even though fans will say it. And the other big thing is like, and the reason partially I brought up Uncharted in the beginning was for this discussion point. Actually, the fact that Uncharted was a very successful movie financially, and I think even critically it wasn't too bad, is because of pure star power. Like story wise, I've heard it's very generic to just not being very good. So just having like a star have a voice reel of your next main antagonist is going to like bring people in, and that's just the truth. So I think they will bring a voice actor, but I also think that with the second movie and even the first movie with Ben Schwartz, they kind of prove that they can get the right people for
Yeah.
these characters. And at the same time, I think a lot of fans are also understanding of that. That's why we've suggested voice actors like Keanu Reeves or Robert Patterson, because they've played characters that kind of fit Shadow, and their voices kind of work for the kind of character Shadow is.
What?
And I'm okay with either of those guys playing
What?
the next.
Yeah, I've got to ask. What would you think of Josh Brolin for Shadow?
I don't know who that is.
The guy who did the guy who did Thanos in the MCU.
Oh, I mean, like again, he did a good job with Thanos, of course, but I don't know if that works with Shadow perfectly. I mean, it could work. I think he could do it, maybe, but I also don't know if he's like a big enough name. Because like with Idris Elba, for example, like that was off the heel. His announcement off the heels of the Suicide Squad.
Okay,
And
fair enough.
with Ben Schwartz, well, I don't know if he had like a big movie, but he is in a lot of projects nowadays. So
Actually,
Robert Patterson was picked because, of course, The Batman is one of the most successful movies of the year.
actually, now that you've said that with Robert Pattinson and the Batman, what about Michael Keaton as Shadow?
He was one of the older Batmans, right?
Yeah, yeah, and he also was the Vulture in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about him or how he sounds. So I can't really. But I mean, I don't think just because someone played Batman was it, because I'm not going to say we should get Ben Affleck here. Even though I did like his version of the Batman. It's just that Robert Patterson's version of the Batman, the character he played, proved that he has the acting chops to do it, and he has now the name recognition that I think that they want for a celebrity. But at the same time, I think part of the decision making will be like who is big at the time, and also like who is a good fit. So
Of
let me just
course,
read Mamsie's comments because he left a
yeah.
couple stuff. Shadow main draw. Tails was an exception. Agreed. Plus, marketing wise, pushed to the side for Knuckles. Yeah, I think that's also true. I think the movie
Fair
definitely had
enough.
more of a focus on Knuckles than Tails. And then he told me, yeah, it's Kirk. I think Keanu Reeves, Robert Pattinson could pull off a good Shadow personally. Yep. So I think you're on the same page as me there, Mamsie. And
You
I
know
agree.
what? You know what? Just get the only guy who can play a fire breathing dragon facing off against the Hobbit, Benedict Cumberbatch for Shadow.
Honestly, it probably wouldn't be most people's first choice, but I really like Benedict Cumberbatch as a character, both as an actor and what he's done. I feel like he could do like I think the thing with Idris Elba, for example, is he wouldn't have been my first choice for Knuckles. I mean, I think a lot of people are just happy that a person of color took the role because people do associate Shadow with people of color just based on the culture he's inspired from. But
Okay.
at the same time, I think him as an actor brought like a unique flavor to the character, just like Ben Schwartz did for Sonic. Um, I mean, Colleen basically just did what she always does with Tails. But for Shadow, if we want to go with some new version of him, so to speak, I think having someone like Benedict Cumberbatch, who has voice acting and name recognition, he could absolutely probably do like a new fun version of Shadow,
Yeah,
and I would trust him.
yeah.
So I'm not against it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Like when, because I've read The Hobbit before, and when I first heard his voice for Smaug in The Hobbit, I was like, "Yep, that's Smaug right there."
Oh yeah, he did great as Smog, and I feel like he could definitely do it for Shadow. He's very good at playing like somewhat evil characters. I'll
Yeah.
put it that.
Or
And also Doctor Strange.
yeah, and or like characters who kind of like have a bit of an ego side to them.
Yeah, and admittedly, Shadow's not super ego, but I don't know. He's the ultimate life form. I take that back. I don't know what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah. Come on, when you call yourself the ultimate life form, you have a bit of an ego trip.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely,
but
definitely. So yeah, not a
yeah,
bad choice there, Luke.
but yeah.
So
One
we should
one
probably
thing.
talk about the movie.
Yeah, one thing I want to say about like I'll just give my initial thoughts on the first movie is that actually Mamsie, since you live in practically the same area as me, I want to know, where did you actually go to see the movies? Because with the first one I went into kind of like the city centre where I live, and the second one went kind of on the outskirts to see it. But with the first one, I really enjoyed it an awful lot. It was generally one of the more fun movie going experiences that I had. And here's the thing I've always said about the Sonic movies is that I don't go into them wanting masterpieces, which I feel like some people actually do. Some YouTubers that I did like in the that I did like at first, who have kind of like fallen off the map, who were kind of wanting the Sonic movie to fail, and when it was successful, they still tried to make out that it failed. Yeah, but here's the thing: I didn't want them to go. I didn't want to go in wanting a masterpiece. I just wanted to have Sonic being Sonic and Eggman Robotnik being Eggman and Robotnik, and that's what I got.
Yep. And I think with the first movie, I will agree with the general criticism that in many ways it didn't feel like a Sonic movie. It just felt like a movie with Sonic characters in it.
A lot
But
of
at the
people
same
were
time,
sorry, I just want to say it. A lot of people are like saying like, "Oh, why can't we have a Sonic series where the human characters go to Sonic World?" And I'm like, "Have you seen any of the other Sonic adaptations?"
yeah, true. Most of them aren't, I think, except like one or two. But anyway, going forward, what I was saying, what I did like is that in the first movie, they really did a good job establishing Sonic as a character, like who he is and who even Robotnik is as a character. And I think that level of characterization is what really won me over with like the first movie. Because like aside from even just like having Sonic done right with the personality and the execution, like just having like a character, like this is who Sonic is, this is why he is the way he is. I think that was really great, and I think that solidified my confidence that they could do another movie. But with the second one, I was hoping they would lean more into the elements of the Sonic lore, and that is exactly what they did. So in a weird way, every movie they did exactly what they had to do, and so that's why I like the third movie. I'm just like, man, now you're adapting arguably one of the best stories in this games, in
You
the
know,
games themselves, and so
you
I'm
know,
super excited.
yeah. You know what would be more surprising is if they had Silver the Hedgehog.
So, I mean, if we're going all the way there, for Sonic 3, like the tease at the end, because they always seem to tease a character at the end, right? Um, I think like Shadow was it for this movie, and then he'll play the main role in the following. And maybe just like we had Knuckles come into the second movie, we might have like either Metal and or Amy or even Rouge come into the third one. But with the next one, it does make sense for Silver to be the next big tease. But I also thought they could, if they want to wait for like maybe movie 5 for Silver, they could also do like Blaze or something. Or if they just wanted to go super crazy, because technically after the events of Adventure we have Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog. But considering the movie doesn't do stuff chronologically, they could also just skip right to the infamous '06 and bring in Silver and Blaze and even tease Mephiles
Oh my
at
god.
the end.
No, I don't think anybody needs to be reminded of '06, and yet I just brought up Silver the Hedgehog.
Yeah, I mean, you did. I'm just saying, if we're bringing Silver in, we have to talk about '06. And if we're bringing '06, we might as well say have Mephiles be a tease too, because I think Mephiles is one of the most interesting antagonists in the game series, at least. Although I did like some of the other ones, like Infinite. Anyway,
I
so
want
Mamsie, he said he saw the movies at View Cinema and Printworks. You know what that is?
Okay. Yeah, it's literally across from where I work, so I know where
Oh,
that is.
nice.
But I will say, ma'am, see, I saw the first one at the AMC in Manchester, which is kind of like it's sort of in the city centre, but it's not quite in the city centre of Manchester. And then I saw the second one in the Trafford Centre, which is basically like if you had the Cave of Wonders from Aladdin, but it was like a big shopping centre.
Hmm.
That is
So,
that is basically the only way I can describe what the Trafford Centre is. But the reason why I saw it there is because, Mamsie, once you go to Dolby Cinema and you get the recliner chairs, you can't go back after that.
yeah, Dolby Audio is great. Let's see. Continuing onward with what I was saying, or what Mamsie was saying, actually, because he was saying that Silver could come in movies 4 or 5. They said they won't move chronological order like the games. And you said you want Silver, but not '06, and Mephiles can stay in the bin. So um, I think that's interesting because with movie 4, I was thinking they could either adapt '06 or the Rush games. Because I feel like the next movie is going to do the adventure games and maybe a little bits of the Shadow the Hedgehog games if they really want to dig into Shadow's backstory.
Here's
For those who don't know, the director of the Sonic movies actually worked on the cinematics of Shadow the Hedgehog. He talked a little about it in interviews. So I think he will want to include some of the lore from that game because it's how he started out with Sonic.
Yeah. Here's an interesting concept that they could do for the next one is what if like well we don't know if Jim Carrey is going to be returning as Robotnik,
True,
but if
just
it,
considering retiring.
yeah, but if he does, like, what would be interesting is if they actually won at the end, and like Robotnik, because from what I remember about Shadow the Hedgehog, does it take place in like a post-apocalyptic style
Well,
area?
which Shadow the Hedgehog takes place after the events of Heroes in that world, but it's just that alien invasion caused a lot of destruction everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
So what if
like the
Robotnik
only
had?
post-apocalyptic game I think, unless you want to count it, '06 where it had some post-apocalyptic stuff because time travel was Forces.
Oh, okay, all right. But I'm just thinking, like, what if the third one ended on like a depressing note rather than a positive note?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are thinking that they're hoping that the third movie will have a more serious tone. And okay, I disagree. There is a one Sonic tuber I follow who's honestly his like hope for the movie, and I highly, highly doubt this will happen. Is that Shadow will like how he was originally meant to in the games actually perish by the end of the movie? I don't
I
see that happening
I don't
at
see that
all.
happening. I could honestly see if there were. If they really wanted to, like, kill off the human characters, if they really wanted to go down that dark route,
I don't see them doing that though. I mean,
yeah.
one that's like too much for kids. I think.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, they if say the actors want to leave after the third one, and they're like, okay, yeah, this to make this super dark, kill them off.
I mean, if they wanted to leave, sure, but I think at least the actors that, from what I've seen, seem to be enjoying it. Except, of course, Jim Carrey, who wants to retire in general. Um, but
Yeah, yeah, but as well, the problem is that what if they want to bring Robotnik back and he doesn't want to do it? Like, where do they go from there?
Well, I mean, I think for that's a good question, actually, because I think for the next movie, Shadow, I think could carry a good amount of the movie as a main antagonist, and he could team up with like Agent Stone or something.
Oh my
And
god!
also,
I just gotta say something. Okay, if Jim Carrey doesn't want to turn, I want just have Agent Stone go up against Sonic and have him, I'd have him like create Metal Sonic just as a way to be like, Robotnik, here, I've created a metal version of Sonic to fight him. Come back.
yeah, that would be great. And yes, I do think Agent Stone being the creator of Metal Sonic, I was also having that idea myself because it kind of works.
It's
Because
funny
like
how
there are so many hints in even this movie where we see Agent Stone like slowly picking up the pieces of like Eggman's legacy. So I could
maybe
absolutely see it.
maybe he'll become like because wasn't it like isn't like Eggman supposed to be like the grandfather of the original the grandson of the original Robotnik or something?
Yeah, yeah. In the adventure games, we learned that Gerald Robotnik, because Ivo is like the name of the Robotnik's first name,
Yeah,
and then Gerald Robotnik is the one who created Shadow, one of the creators, and he is Eggman's grandfather.
yeah. So couldn't it be like say Agent Stone like takes on like I don't know co- uh, I'm just gonna use it as just like because it was the only thing that I could think of like Coffee Man or something like that. Because
Oh, I could see that just because Egg Sonic names people after food.
yeah, and he's literally like the only thing that can be associated outside of his obsession with Robotnik is coffee.
Yep. So he would have to be like Barista Man or something like that.
Yeah, but
And
what I find crazy is that he's not met Sonic at all. He's not met
yeah, I've
Sonic.
seen the memes where he goes up to Sonic's like, "You took everything from me." Sonic's
I
like,
have
"I don't
no
know who
idea.
you are."
Yeah, so just have Agent Stone in Sonic 3 just have say like, "Hey Sonic," and he's like, who are you? Are you some kind of coffee man?" And he's literally holding a coffee. He's just like, "No, I'm not."
Um, wait, hang on. I just want to read Memsy's comments. Shadow could die and bring him back in a future movie, like 2 or 3 movies later. That could work. I do kind of like that idea, but the problem is, I'm not sure how I would feel about them again being like, okay, Shadow's back. Because here's the thing: if they did want to kill Shadow and they did go through with it, I think that the way they could bring him back is either use the Shadow android concept that they had in Heroes, or they could just have like go flashbacks of Shadow's past. Like we're having a Knuckles series for Paramount Plus. They could also just do like a flashbacks of Shadow's like his life 50 years ago or something if they wanted to keep him around in some ways. And as for Silver, yeah, I see what you mean. They could have a new storyline. I think the other thing, though, if we're talking about Silver right now, is just that he's going to bring up, with Silver's introduction, brings time travel, and time travel gets really tricky once you start introducing that into a story.
Yeah, but they probably could make fun of it.
They could.
Sonic could bring up the whole like, okay, okay. In the words of Professor Hulk, that is not how time travel works.
Oh man, I would love that. Uh,
Yeah,
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 I do like how Sonic like references like superheroes. Even in this movie, he's like Blue
Blue
Justice,
Justice
and he's
trademarking.
like, and Tom is like, Sonic, you can't keep pretending to be Batman. Blue Justice trademark.
Yeah,
uh,
um,
I don't
but
think I love how they bring back these like things like about Sonic loving comic books and superheroes.
yeah, yeah. Well, it makes sense because he's basically a hot-headed teenager.
Yeah. And I do like that they really go into. Oh yeah, and then the Winter Soldier comment in this movie when Knuckles.
Yeah,
See, a lot of people among the Sonic fans kind of didn't really like all the reference humor, but I personally love it.
yeah.
Like, I
Well,
think for them, it's just that in the game, Sonic doesn't do that kind of stuff. But I'm like, okay, that's fine. But this version of Sonic does, and he is hilarious.
yeah, but 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 the I just got the image of just Sonic just in the original games just holding up a sign and saying, "This is not the tortoise and the hare." because when you
Okay,
know
I mean
how.
that's not the kind of reference I was
Yeah,
expecting, but
I'm just using it as just like an example because you know how when you put the controller down and he's just there waiting for you, and
yeah,
it would say like, "This is not the tortoise and the hare. You're not the tortoise."
that would be yeah, that would definitely come off weird for Sonic fans.
So uh,
And they will do a Shadow, definitely do a Shadow spin off like Knuckles. Yeah, I hope so because I feel like Shadow could definitely have its own series. Like even if he survives the way he does in the games, and like he just works for Gun, I would definitely watch like just like a series that's like just GUN on Paramount, and we just follow Shadow and Rouge and maybe Omega in that series, and they're just like doing like undercover spy missions. That would be cool.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh my god, I've just realized something. I've just realized something. A funny meme that we could have now.
What's up?
Dr. Sino, Stanley Snyder, Dr. Robotnik, Agent Stone, like just like that. Just have that be a meme crossover.
Ah, yeah, that would work. And don't worry, Mamsie, I didn't take any offense. No worries.
Yeah.
I will agree with some. No one hates Sonic fans more than Sonic fans. I'll tell you
Oh yeah,
that.
definitely. Well, every fandom hates the fandom that they're in, pretty much.
This is true. I think Sonic fans like a new breed though of that. But you know, we've been going very tangential with our discussions of this movie.
I
Should we
know.
talk about some more specific stuff? Because we're
Yeah,
kind of stream for a
yeah,
couple hours now.
yeah. What was gonna say? I feel like uh, I'm not sure. What is your opinion on like forget aside from Agent Stone, Doctor Robotnik, like the human characters in general in the movie, in the
Oh, I'm
movie
glad you asked
universe?
actually, because I really do enjoy them. I do, and I think a lot of people I think don't just because the versions of Sonic they're used to don't have any humans in them, and they just feel like it feels like a weird juxtaposition to them. But for me, like I grew up watching things like Sonic X and played games like the adventure games where humans are around, and even like games like Unleashed had humans around. So humans have always been a part of Sonic's story. And the other thing is like especially the next story that we have, we're gonna have human characters, and I think they're gonna play still very important roles in it. Like for example, like we might with this the last couple of movies emphasize that Tom, his family, he comes from a family of law enforcement, and maybe
Yeah.
one of those ancestors of his, like a grandfather or something, was involved with what happened with Robotnik's grandfather. That's like a theory that I've seen floating around. I like that idea.
Okay. All
And
right.
then we also have like Tika Sumpter's character Maddie. She's a veterinarian, and so she always will have a role with all these animal characters running around getting hurt. And I think that what I'm personally a big role I'm hoping to see next movie is like a character who didn't get enough time. I thought was JoJo, uh, who is like what the little girl, I guess you could say Sonic's cousin, and she got a few minor lines here and there, but I think she could do more. And I think in the next movie she might play as like a surrogate role for Maria for Shadow in a similar way Chris Thorndike did in the Sonic X
Yeah.
anime.
Maybe she might be a Maria lookalike.
Yeah, I that's what I'm thinking too. And I think that would be a good use for her character, especially because she hasn't had to do much so far. So I really like the human characters. I like how they semi-develop, but at the same time, I'm glad that they in the second movie they also decided to kind of sideline them a bit. I guess
Yeah.
the biggest problem is that they dedicated a bunch of had to make a subplot for the human characters, and a lot of people didn't like that subplot. But I don't think the answer is getting rid of the humans. I think it's just more naturally integrating them in the stories without having them overshadow the more important
Oh,
characters.
oh yeah. Because here's the thing that I hate most about when they do movies like this, where they're like, oh, oh yeah, we only came for this one aspect because it's meant to be because the title is such and such. We don't care about any of these without realizing like those other elements are what elevates it up. It's kind of like when people are like, this is my show, and it's like, nope, there's another guy here. It's like, no, just look at me, it's all about me. if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think a lot of fans make the mistake that everyone thinks like them. Because when people are like, oh, I think I was watching, man, I forgot his name. The Nostalgia Critic, I believe.
Yeah,
Maybe it was
that
him.
when I was talking about the person who wanted it to fail, but it was a success, but still pretending it failed. I was referring to the Nostalgia Critic.
Ah, fair enough. I don't remember if it was him or not, but I think he was one of the people when he was reviewing these movies. Like, I don't mind if they just got rid of the human characters altogether. And I'm
Yes,
like, then it wouldn't even be the movie franchise
it's
it is.
here's the thing: he's not a Sonic fan in the slightest.
Yeah, I can definitely tell he's not. Because, I mean, just like some of these people, you can definitely tell, like, they don't really know Sonic.
Yeah,
Like, definitely the people behind the movie know Sonic better than they know
yeah,
Sonic.
it's like how he's not a fan of Power Rangers and he thinks it's just like the old Mighty Morphin days when in fact no, it's evolved since then.
Yeah, that is a good metaphor, actually. Yeah, because I think Power Rangers is definitely a. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of the newer stuff, but it's definitely a series that's slowly evolved over time to incorporate newer things. But people are like, this isn't how it was back in the 80s. And this is clearly made for those people. It's like, no, it's not. It's made for everybody, and that includes newer generations of fans. And I think that's also true for Sonic, because Sonic's multiple generations of fans who want different things, and that's kind of where most of the infighting comes from. So I think this movie franchise is doing a good job catering to most of the fans as best they can. And
Yeah,
also, yes, Mamsie, Sonic X was a vibe. I think Sonic Boom was also a vibe in and of itself,
yeah. I
the
still
cartoon
ne-
series.
I still need to watch Sonic X. I don't think I ever watched it, but it was one that I actually wanted to
Well,
kind of watch.
that one's a hard sell because the thing is, like, it was so like monster of the week formula for like so much of it that it's kind of hard to like stomach the early parts of the series. But
Hey,
then later on, it like does start developing actual game stories, and the third season, the final season, made like a really cool original story. Which
okay.
honestly, I wouldn't mind if they adapted into the movie series, just because I really
Okay.
like that.
But I'll just say this: if I can handle Power Rangers, and Doctor Who, I can handle Sonic X in terms of Monster of the Week.
Yeah, all right. Well, have fun with that. Because I think Sonic X is definitely one of those anime that may not have aged super well. Like, there are good parts, but as a whole, it was easier to follow as a kid. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Um.
Let's see. Was there other stuff I want to talk about? I mean, I think there is.
I guess the one thing that I really wanted to happen is that I really wanted it to focus more on the individual Chaos Emeralds rather than just the Master Emerald.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting way they went about that. I think what they're doing, because at the very end of the movie, the Chaos Emeralds went awry, and I think Tyson has confirmed that. So I think next movie we're going to be doing Chaos Emerald hunting, and we might talk more about the emeralds individually.
Okay, all right.
That's what I'm
Um,
hoping. I could be wrong, but I do agree with you that I wish we spent time on the individual emeralds before the master, but at the same time, since Knuckles was here, we kind of had to.
yeah, we kind of had to get to the Master Emerald. Yeah. Um, but I've got to say, my favorite point in the actual second movie was when Robotnik made Death Egg.
Oh, yep, that was a great. Like that final act was amazing. I just loved watching the characters, Tails, Sonic, and Knuckles work together because like Sonic Heroes was my first Sonic game, and so it just gave me all those Sonic Hero vibes. Just watching that happen, and also I think they did a great job, like showing like Robotnik like going crazy in the second movie just from the first, and then getting even crazier by the end. Like
Yeah.
even if this is like Jim Carrey's last like role he ever does in a movie, this is a great way to go out.
Yeah. Well, apparently, from interviews that I've seen with Jim Carrey, is that it seems like he wants to do Robotnik again, but only if the mustache is bigger. Because apparently he says if the bigger the mustache, the bigger the ego.
I mean, that is kind of funny, and I'm definitely for that. But it also, I mean, I've seen some of those interviews where he hopes to do like a fat suit or something. But at the same time, if he's truly is just tired of acting, tired of Hollywood culture or whatever, and he wants to do other things. I can respect that.
Yeah, I can respect that as well. And
Oh,
also,
Sky said, "Hey,
just
you came
coming
at the
in,
very end of our stream."
you came at the very, very end. But if you have any comments on the Sonic movies, just leave them now since we're talking about them. But yeah, you might want to go back and have a look at have a look at some of the stream because I did talk about Eden Zero like right at the beginning.
Yeah, and we talked about several manga series I recommended. I was kind of, and some people recommended some manga series to us. So yeah, but yeah, feel free to like leave
Oh,
comments
okay.
about Eden Zeros. Oh, but be careful because Luke is not caught up. He only just got to Sun Jewel. And also, I talked about a couple of manga, but you can see if you had any other manga you thought we could talk about that maybe we didn't. I don't know.
Yeah. So
But
yeah,
yeah,
what?
Sonic Movie 2. Let's see. Is there anything else? I think they improved the cinematography a lot
Oh
from
yeah,
the first movie as well.
definitely. But you want to know what I found funny about the Sonic is that in the trailer when they're in the mountains and Sonic gets on that board, because of the way the trailer was structured, people were like saying like, "Wait, did he just ditch Tails?"
Uh, Wait,
Because when
which
because
point in the trailer?
in the trailer when Robotnik is firing the rockets and Sonic is like, "Oh, return to sender," and then he gets on the board. People were just
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah.
in the trailer reactions, did he just ditch Tails?
I guess we can also comment. I think they did great with the trailers of almost misleading us in what's going to happen with the movie because they showed
Yeah,
us scenes and audio clips, but put it in ways where we weren't able to piece things together. I mean, Sonic fans still found a lot of stuff out before the movie came in because we're crazy like that. But they did a
yeah,
good job, I think, not spoiling it for us. Um,
yeah.
Oh,
I think people.
and the biggest thing I want to give props to the movie is just all the lore because I think a lot of like maybe some of it went over people's heads, but if you're like been following the games and the stories, you're like, oh, okay, so this is what they're doing with the owls and the echidnas and the chaos emeralds. It's all really good.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Oh, and there was one bit I wanted to talk about very briefly. Um, oh, um, oh, what was it? Oh, it was related to. I've got to say, the sister that was getting married. That's got to be like the most badass woman in a wedding dress ever.
Oh yeah, a
I,
lot of people didn't like that scene, but I thought it did great because
I
I
loved
really didn't
it.
like Rachel's character in the first one. She was just annoying. She was funny though. I thought she
Yeah,
was funny but annoying, so I was hoping she'd get better, and she did. She got a
yeah.
lot better.
And also as well, like the little nod to Green Hill the Green Hill stage in the first one with Tom's ringtone being that ringtone.
Oh
The
yeah,
uh,
and I guess that does get into one of my complaints for the movie, and hopefully will be fixed in the future movies. Is I do like the music they included in a lot of the in both movies, but
you
it's
wanted more of
weird
the
that
Sonic music. You wanted more of the traditional Sonic music.
exactly because it's like this franchise, even among people who don't like the games, usually give the music the credit it deserves. I mean, we had a whole Sonic symphony for a reason. The music in this game series is amazing. And it's weird that they don't incorporate it more. Like I think one of the best examples is like there was a part where Sonic was drowning, and I was like waiting to like for that drowning sound effect, but I didn't hear it. So I'm like, oh, did they
Yeah,
not include it? That was a missed opportunity. But
and
then they played it back. People were playing the OST of the movie back, and it did exist in the movie, but it's so subtle that you would miss it if you weren't
yeah,
looking.
and also I was waiting for the bop bop, like when Sonic gets
Oh,
the
he took
bubble.
in the yeah. Exactly. Like it's weird they don't include more of those effects. Actually, when he lost his rings in the mountains, I don't even know if they did play the ring losing sound. They should have done
They
that.
should have done that as well. But one thing I was hoping that I was really worried that they weren't going to touch on was Tails' real name. But thankfully they did because I was just like, okay, yeah, kids need to know that this is just a nickname because and thankfully Sonic did clarify like we're introducing Miles Tails Prower.
Yeah, I'm glad they did that at the end. Also, I don't know what the whole thing with Knuckles and Grapes was. I think that's a reference to something on the internet, but I don't know what it is. Do you
I
know?
don't know. I don't know what that is. I guess it's more like Knuckles gay. Cause is it because he's a woodland creature? Is that the joke that he's a woodland creature that he would love grapes?
That's what I thought too, but I think it was like an online meme thing, something about Knuckles and Grapes, but I don't know for sure.
I am gonna look that up. Like, what is that?
Because
Knuckles
I Jeff
and
Fowler, the director, did post like an edit of uh, the accolades poster with like the characters sitting around watching the movie, where Knuckles had like a bowl of grapes, and
uh,
I'm just like, okay, what is it with this and grapes? What is this about?
um, it's because Knuckles the Echidna, age 15, likes fruit digging holes, so it's probably a reference to that. Weak point, girls. He's a shy guy.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
but if you look, or if you just type in Knuckles and Grapes into Google Images, there's about a bajillion. Like, there's a bajillion of them.
Yeah, of
Um,
course there is by now.
yeah, there's even a tier list focusing on movie Knuckles. Oh my god, there's a tier list. Movie Knuckles ranks grapes.
Oh yeah, that yep. Like
I'm gonna send you.
Sonic
I'm gonna
fans
send you
just
the
take
image.
jokes and like
I'm gonna
burn them.
send you the image right now.
Okay, go ahead. So let's see. I think the other thing I'm wondering is when. Yeah, I got it. When the movie will. Oh, oh, okay. So different types of grapes. Yeah, no, actually, this is a fair list. I think I would agree with this. Although maybe I put green grapes in B or C tier, but yeah, otherwise. Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
but
he, oh, apparently that's what new character in Sonic 3. Sonic. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like he really loves grapes. It's something. It, but I've never known that about Knuckles. Like, where did this whole grape obsession come from?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of people were wondering why they didn't bring up Tails' like obsession with mint because he really likes mint flavored ice cream. Um, but that didn't happen. But the story writers made a comment like, okay, we messed up on that, guys. Sorry. And they were like, it's fine. So just fix it in the next movie. Just have him have mint ice cream or something.
How much do you want to bet that the next movie is going to open up with them just eating ice cream?
That would be too perfect just because it ended this movie with them getting ice cream. But speaking of the next movie, I do wonder like when it'll come out because like the first movie came out in 2020, and this one came out, of course, this year 2022. So logically, I probably will be in 2024.
I would
Um,
say. I would say 2025. I would say just make it around 2025.
oh, you think it'll take an extra year?
Yeah, because then that would be hilarious because the second movie came out 2 years after the first one. The third movie comes out 3 years after the second one.
Oh, I see. That actually works. And also, I do want them to put a lot into it because, of course, the first movie kind of got cut off by the global crisis, and this
Yeah,
movie is coming out in the middle of said crisis. So I'm hoping by the time the third movie's out, we'll be done with this. I really hope so. And then, if that's true, I don't know how successful the Mario movie will be. Probably fairly successful, but the third movie could potentially be like again beat the record for the best video game movie of all time once again. And I think if it comes out after the global crisis, then it'll be able to do that really easily.
yeah,
Because right now, the second movie, it's like not airing in like Russia and China because of things going on there.
yeah,
And really in Japan, it's not coming out till August. I don't know what that's about.
I guess,
So I'm hoping that the third movie will come out like at a good time for everybody, and it just makes all the money.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I'm really quite interested to see what they do with the whole Shadow storyline.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because Shadow's story is like one of the most interesting stories, and his backstory is extremely complicated. So I wonder how much they'll be able to include, and then how they're going to integrate the human characters along with it. Because I will say, like, while I do enjoy the human characters, some of them, like Wade, for example, who I still enjoy, I think they really try to force his inclusion in
Yeah,
this movie,
it
and I'm
was.
yeah. So I mean, I do still want Wade to be around, but I'm like, I hope we don't get to the point where there's so many human characters because now we have um, uh, gun agents to also deal with in the second movie, including Rachel's husband.
Well,
Um,
technically, Agent Stone could disguise. He's disguised himself as a gun agent, so maybe he'll go along. He'll just go along with that disguise and just have maybe one or two minions.
oh, he could. I mean, I'm very interested to see what they'll do with Stone characters among all the human characters because I think there are things they could do with the other human characters, but Stone is probably the one that's going to have like the most development, especially if Jim Carrey isn't coming back for Eggman.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I had to say on the whole Sonic movies.
Yeah, we've been streaming for a good while.
Yeah, so
So, to anyone still here, if anyone has any last minute things to talk about or want to discuss before we send off, put it in for hold your piece. I still not sure if I'll put in timestamps, but I'll see later on if I feel like it.
yeah. So we'll
But
just
for
give
those who did stick around for the stream or watch the whole thing, thank you for being here on our weird like variety stream, so to speak. We
yeah.
had some topics that we had planned, like the movie and Shield Hero, and some manga we wanted to talk about, but it was very free form. So hopefully people liked it, and if we get another break like this and we don't feel like taking the week off, we might do something like this again.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And also as well, since it is on break, like I said, I will be talking about Chapter One of Doctor Stone this week because it'll be really interesting to look at the series and knowing where everything goes. Really
Yep.
be interested to talk about that.
And I'll be trying some of the new series people have recommended on stream, and I think Luke will be trying some of the ones I recommended. So I'm
Yeah,
looking forward
definitely.
to. And if we do come back and have time, I might talk about those if I had started those series.
And I will as well. So yeah, thank you for joining us, guys, and until next time, we will see you later.